Now I want to continue my teaching on how to defend yourself when you're fighting with a machete using your empty hand. I can't stress enough that I prefer that you have a weapon in this hand, but at the very least put a glove on, and it'll help you a lot when you're using this hand defensively. Now, the next thing I want to cover is how to block an incoming attack. I'd much rather you stop hit an incoming attack or parry it or beat it or whatever, but sometimes you're not going to be able to use one of those defenses, and your machete is not going to be able to be there to help you. For whatever reason, it's out of play. It's too far away. You're trying to recover it. It's too high, too low. It's just not available, and you're going to have to block that incoming attack. Now, remember, even a dull machete is only 2 millimeters thick, and it has somewhat of an edge on it, even if it's been used all day long for cutting grass and weeds and vines and stuff in the field. Okay? So you don't want that edge to hit your arm. But when you're blocking, that's what you're doing. You're passively stopping that incoming attack. You're not injuring that arm or that hand. You're just stopping its forward motion, its hitting motion for just the briefest moment in time. Now hear me well. You're only stopping that attack for a tiny fraction of time. You can't block and rest on your laurels. You're going to have to take immediate action. I'm going to have Robert come in here, and I'm just going to demonstrate how to block with the machete. What you want to do is you're going to be successful in blocking, you're still going to have to try to move either forward or backwards on the female and male triangles. Usually to block, you're going to be going forward so that you can get in the right position and the right angle to use your forearm to stop that incoming attack. Now when he cuts angle number 1, I want to stop on his wrist or close here on his forearm. I want to shelf that on my arm like this. Okay, I stopped the forward motion. Now, I have to immediately respond. Maybe my machete is over here. I missed this stroke. I did this, okay? Now, I have to go on the attack right away because he's going to pull that thing off my arm and hit me again, okay? So, I've got to either attack him or I've got to manipulate this arm. I've got to slide back here, get a hold of his wrist, hollow, swing him to the other side, press in on him, smother him, and go to work, okay? Or I may block here. I get here, and I just continue and punch him in the side of the neck or on the chin. I've got to do something to rock him. I can't let him continue that attack. Maybe I get blocked here. Maybe I come here and I circle that arm, and I drag him down into my headbutt, and I come up with that wrap stroke, and I start hacking on his face, okay? You can't block and be still. Maybe my machete missed here and he cuts and I block and I run, okay? And I get out of range. That's also a viable option. But you can't just stand here and block and not do anything immediately. When you block, your machete has to go into action instantaneously, or you have to attack somehow and put pressure on him, or manipulate or control this arm because it's coming again. Now, when you're blocking here, you got to remember, he may fire this arm too. So maybe you pick it up here, and I just let him punch right into my machete. He punches in closer at my face-off, and I parry it across here even, okay? And let go and pull him across. Who knows what he's going to do? But you just can't say, okay, this is it. That hand may fire, and you got to be able to put your machete back into action. Now, right, that could go him again. I got to keep going, okay? You can't let him resume his attack. If you pull up a successful block, here, you got to be watching. If I come here and he goes to punch me, I just pull him, and I hit him. I got control now. I wrecked his balance, okay? But you've got to bring your fight up to 110% then when you're blocking, because you're in a precarious spot. You're not out here at long range when he cuts, number 1. I'm not counter-slashing him. I'm right underneath all his weapons here. I'm inside. He can punch the daylights out of me. I may have to come here and then just cover and swing out, all right? You need to be ready to react instantly. You need to be on high alert when you're blocking, okay? Now, if you're so unfortunate that your block is late and he hits you on the arm, okay, you still got to fight. Now remember, your arm can be severely damaged. Try to avoid that thought and just keep back in the fight. When he cuts you, keep going. Maybe you sacrifice a broken arm to take the fight and win, okay? Hear me well. I'm not saying give him your arm to win the fight. I didn't say that. That's not what I mean. What I'm saying is that you need to be prepared with this machete. If you block and you're late and you can't perfectly position yourself, don't deny the fact that he hit you with an 18 or 24-inch blade that's only 2 millimeters thick, and it's coming like light speed. There's going to be serious repercussions to your arm. But that doesn't mean that you need to quit and give up. When he hits you there, take an angle and finish the fight, okay? Now, you can block at every angle, okay? When he cuts backhand, I want to use the outside of my forearm to block whenever I can. The outside of the forearm is a little less vulnerable to his edge than the inside. The inside of the forearm has the tendons and muscles that control your ability to grip, okay? I may want to switch my machete at some point into that hand later in the fight. I don't want to destroy its gripping ability. So if I have to get cut or hit, I'd rather be on the outside of the arm than the inside. So that's why we're going to try to twist and maneuver our body to block as often as possible with the outside of our forearm. If he cuts backhand, I'm going to put my forearm in the way, just like this. I definitely don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be caught late here. So if I see that, I have to step forward on the male triangle and block it. Now, I can't stand here. This has got to manipulate this hand. I'm going to come here. Watch my body hollow. I'm going to hollow and give it to him right in the guts. Now, even still there, that machete hand is still going. I need to get out of the way and make him miss. Now, I'm backing up. He's dealing with 6 inches of a 2-inch wide blade through his abdomen. He's going to be thinking about chasing me now. He's going to be more concerned about getting to the hospital. You see what I mean? You cannot block backhand. I can't just block here and stay here. Maybe I have to capture that arm and drag him out and let him have it, okay? You can't stay there passively blocking, okay? Now, I want to emphasize again, try when you're practicing with your partner. Go slow enough so that you can move. Number one, you can move on this male and female triangle. When he cuts here, I got to step here. When he cuts here, I'm going to step here. When he stabs, I'm going to slap it out of the way. I'm going to slap it out of the way. Here, I'm going to block it. Cuts down, I'm going to slap it out of the way. I'm going to slap it out of the way. I'm going to slap it down. Here, I'm going to drive it down right into the ground here. I was fortunate to catch him here at the elbow. Here, I could come in here now and just turn him right through and walk right through him. I could have lifted his leg, but I don't want to slam him on the ground. You need to practice all the different angles blocking real slow. He cuts number 1. He cuts number 2. He cuts number 3. Here, see what I have to do to stop that? I have to step in here and bring my arm this way. Now, I know this is precarious. He wants to pull that thing through. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to shove my arm here. When I feel this contact here, I'm going to run in and clear up here. Now I've got his arm up here. I can step through and throw him right over my hip, just like that, and bring my knee up or go to work on with my machete. All kinds of stuff I can do. You need to go through the 12 angles of attack, practice blocking. Start slow and gentle. Look at all your options. Constantly remember, you can't passive block and not instantaneously counterattack or run. Now I want to give you an alternative to passive blocking with your live hand or live arm. You'll use this when you can't do anything else, but I prefer if you have to use your live hand defensively in a blocking type motion, I'd rather use the knife edge of your hand and use your hand like a knife and cut into that incoming arm. What I want you to do is, I'll take this glove off, I want you to use this portion of your hand right here, the knife edge, this pad of muscle right here that goes from the base of your little finger all the way up to your wrist like that. This section right here, that's what I want you to strike with. And I want you to cut and chop in to his incoming weapon of harm like you hate his guts. You're going to cut it in half. Your object is to shear it in half. And what this does is you're going to inflict pain and you're going to shock his nervous system a little bit when you cut into it. There's a propensity when your arm gets stopped like this to pull the edge through, okay? When you cut into somebody's arm with a knife hand blow, when you hit, his arm makes a little bounce like this. And he has to regather himself, even momentarily, he has to regather himself and decide what he's going to do. His arm is shocked. His arm is knocked back. His motion isn't just stopped, it's repulsed. He starts forward and it's banged backwards like that. And it's much more effective than just passive blocking, okay? And it's what I prefer you to do at all times when it's possible because it gives you more safety and it gives you more time to get out of the way or more time to control him or more time to enter and put your machete back to work. So When you practice this, make sure that your partners pad up their forearms really well and use leather gloves and start out kind and gentle to begin with, because a few knife hand blows on the forearm start to add up really quickly. And by the fourth or fifth strike in the same spot, you're going to have a very sore training partner who may not want to train with you anymore. Okay? This also can be very useful when you're fighting without weapons in an unarmed situation. Knife hand hitting into the arms and hands, into the face and other parts of the body concentrates the force in a very small area and does a lot of damage. And I use this a lot in my own unarmed game. So I'm going to have Robert come in here and I'm going to demonstrate how to use your knife hand defensively. When Robert cuts number one, and let's say my machete, again, we're going to go on to the premise that my machete can't be used. The main thing is you want to cut into his thumb, the base of his thumb, or his forearm, even into his bicep, but it's a long way in to reach the bicep. So your target's really going to be the base of his thumb, or his wrist, or his forearm that you're going to cut into. You're not going to cut into this machete. If you do this, your hand's going to probably be ruined, okay? So you need to move on probably the female triangle to get the position, the angle. I just don't want to stand here and do this. If I can even turn this much, it presents a much better angle. Now, when I turn my head, my eye's still watching here, because he may go with that hand, and I may pick it up with my machete. He may punch again. I may cover. I don't know what I'll do. I may just evade here. But you just can't always concentrate on this arm. And I see this a lot as people are drilling. And I want to address that now. As people are drilling, they turn their head from side to side. They look at this side, then they look at this side. They look at this side. Look at. When this one goes, that one may fire. If it fires, you need to do something about it. From here, the fastest thing might be just to slap him or beat him in the face with the flat of my machete. But never forget that just because you block this, that punch may be coming. You may have to cover, okay? You've got to always watch both sides of his body. So when you get here, make your eyes go big. Get ready. From here, if you get him all stretched out like that, you can really go to work. He's wide open, okay? Always watch that. Now, just like with passive blocking, you can do this backhand. If he cuts backhand, I can cut into his arm here, hard. Again, I'm going to use my favorite two little words, mamby-pamby. Don't be mamby-pamby about it. Cut into his arm like you hate his friggin' guts. You hate his guts. This is a butcher's cleaver, and you're going to use that knife-like edge or cleaver-like edge to shear his arm right off. Your hope is you hit him so hard in that forearm, his arm flies off. That's not going to happen, but that's what I want you to do. You want to hit this thing hard. Now, when you get contact like that and it stops like that or reverberates, it may come again. He's going to have a hard time hitting you with this hand because of his position. But you may have to clear that and go to work on it. Well, if I throw him all the way out here, I may just follow and cut his face. But you've got to do something. Again, just like passive blocking. You can't cut into this and rest on your laurels or admire your work, as Ron would say. You can't just stop here and wait. You've got to go at 110%. You're in great danger here. If you get this cut, maybe you're going to get out, okay? Maybe that's what you want to do. You're here, you miss, he cuts at your backhand, and I cut into him and I'm leaving, okay? Definitely that's what you want to do if you're fighting a machete unarmed. If you're able to stop that blow with a knife hand blow, bang, I'm running for my life now. He's got that 18-inch, 24-inch blade. It's a huge advantage, okay? Now, just like in passive blocking, you need to get used to all the angles of attack. So what I want you to do is get with your partner, have him pad up his arm good, okay? Really well. And I want him to cut 1 through 12. So 1, 2, 3. See how I have to move? 4, 5. There I had to go on the blade. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12, okay? You have to get used to that. And when I said I went on the blade, I actually knocked the blade aside. I didn't meet it edge to edge. Never cut into this. When he cuts, don't cut into that. Always try to cut into his arm or hand whenever possible. But that's how you have to practice that. Start out real slow. He cuts 1. Just gentle like this. 2. Cuts 3. Oh, I have to move. I have to move. Oh, maybe I have to slap that out of the way. I have to step here. Oh, I have to step here. I have to step here. 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 Maybe I get back out, jump back in, and cuts again. I have to push it down. Okay? Get used to dealing with all those different angles. Once you're used to it, have him mix them up. Maybe he goes high. Now I don't know where he's going to go. Goes low. You can kind of dictate what he does by how you move yourself. If I come to this side with my knife hand blow, he's going to have to, most of the follow-up blows are going to come from this direction. If I go to this side, most of his continuation of his attack is going to come this way. So you can kind of position him, but you got to play with it. Don't neglect knife hand defenses when you're fighting with a machete. All right, to finish up the defensive use of your live hand, I want to show you how to tap or knock down attacks from the other machete. I'm going to have Robert come in here. And again, I want to emphasize the fact that when you're going against an 18-inch or 24-inch blade, it's hard to reach all the way in here and to attack his arm. Okay? Normally, if that's a knife and it's shortened that's to give me like a 6-inch blade, if he stabs me in the gut pile, I may tap it down like this. I'm going to use my forearm right here. I'm going to knock it down and back in towards his leg hard with my forearm. Bang! So Robert's a big, strong guy. When he goes to stab me, I've got to hit him with some power. Okay? Now, it's a long ways in when he has the full length of his blade out there. I mean, by the time I reach that, look at that. That sort of thing's already hit me. So if you're going to use this tapping stroke, you're going to have to use it on his machete. Now, most machetes, the vast majority of them are not sharp on the top edge. Hopefully yours will be, because you've outfitted yours specifically for fighting. But the overwhelming vast majority of them are not sharpened on the top edge. So when he goes to stab you, you want to get offline and knock that blade down. If you can, knock it right into the earth like this. Now, look how this positions you. You can launch right here. You can come in here. You can come in here. You can come right up into his face. If you're successful in that tapping stroke and you move, you get offline. Don't stand in front of it. There's my wrap stroke right there. Okay? You want to knock that blade down. So the way you're going to practice this, you're going to come on guard. Your opponent's going to target your low abdomen. Let him hit you a couple times, okay? Get used to that. So now he has his distance. Now you're going to have to move. Look how I have to squat. Don't bend over like this. Don't do this. That's no good. Push you off balance. You're going to have to move forward on the female triangle and squat. See like that? Now I got lots of options. I can slap him here. I can stab him. There's all kinds of things you can do when you practice this tapping defense, okay? You want to get on the back of his blade. When he comes, knock it down. Preferably, press it forward into him. If it bounces, so what? Go to work. As soon as you get this knocked down, stab him in the face. Okay? That's how you use tapping to defend stabbing attacks on your low line. Earlier in this presentation, I stressed the importance of footwork. Now I want to stress the importance of the ability to judge distance. The ability to judge the distance separating you and your opponent to a gnat's eyebrow is of extreme importance when you're fighting with any edged weapon, any weapon for that matter. The person who's a master of judging the distance that separates himself and his opponent has a huge advantage, and it may be the most single advantage that counts the most in a fight. When you can touch your opponent at any given moment in time, in any space, it's a huge advantage. And conversely, you also need to know when he can touch you. You have to be aware of his reach and your reach almost simultaneously, okay? You need to work on this. In Japanese Kenjutsu, they call this the studying of judging distance. And a good swordsman, a good Japanese swordsman, can tell you when he can touch you with the point of his sword at any time. He knows exactly what his reach is with his point or with his cutting edge at every moment in time. He knows when he's out of range and he knows when he's in range. He knows when his opponent can touch him and when he's safe, okay? I've been studying Japanese Kenjutsu for a while now, and one of the big advantages that I had to bring into the game was my long experience fighting with knives and swords, because my ability to judge distance really transferred quickly into using a katana. And I want to stress that, how much I found the advantage of being an an expert at my or judging distance helps you in your fight game. It overcomes lots of other deficiencies. I'm going to have Robert come in here, and I'm going to teach you how you can start working on this at home to increase your ability to judge distance accurately. The first thing I want you to do is have your opponent come on guard. The first thing you need to establish is, where can you touch him in the hand? The hand is what's closest and most vulnerable. If I can slap his machete, that's cool, but if I can stick him in the fingers with a speed jab and get out, hey, that's a lot better. I've injured his fingers, and I'm on my way, okay? I need to know when I can touch his hand. So from my on-guard fighting position, I want you to experiment. Can you straighten your hand and touch him? No, I'm slightly out of range. Can I straighten my hand, bend my knee, and touch him? Absolutely. What if I move back a couple inches, right here? Can I touch his lead hand from here? Well, if I just straighten my arm, no. If I straighten my arm and bend my knee. But if I straighten my arm, bend my knee, and lean a little bit, I can just quite reach him, even though it's an overbalance, all right? Don't overbalance. I know from experience that even though I get this, if he pulls back and I'm overbalanced, pull your sword back, and now I've got to be prepared to defend because he's coming. He recognized I overreached myself. So it's really important that you know when you can touch your opponent in balance with your machete, all right? Now, when you just fall short and you lean and fall short, what if you just take a little tiny step? Can I reach his hand here? Absolutely. Sometimes when you're moving around, I'll go to his left, I'll go to his right, I'll come back, I'll go to his left, and I'll take a little bit more space up with my right step. I want to confuse him, and I know right here I have him. Back here, I didn't have that reach. I know I don't have the reach. So I'm going to change my distance. I'm going to get here and stick him. I know from experience that I have that speed jab. If I step just a little bit further in and lean just a tiny bit and bend my knee a little bit more, I pick him up. You need to know the distance separating your point to his hand, to his forearm, to his shoulder, and to his face. It's a long ways into the face. This is why we target the hand so much. Again, I'll go back to that analogy of the destroyer versus the battleship. Robert's the battleship. He's 6'3". He's 6 inches taller than I am. He's heavier than I am. He's stronger than I am. He's the battleship. I have to be the destroyer. I have to stand out here and dance around and try to pick him off. It's a long ways in for me to come underneath his big 16-inch guns and try to target his torso or face, okay? But you still need to know when you can do that. If he swings and misses and he comes like this, hey, I know I have him here. I had to take a step. If he swings and misses and I just do this, not quite. But if I can make him miss, okay, there I have it. I took a little step, I shoved my point all the way through his face. You need to know when you have to move and when you don't have to move. Sometimes he'll come to you. As he's coming, he attacks, he moves forward, I make him miss a little bit, he comes to me, all right? And I don't have to move as far. But when I swing and he retreats, you start retreating and I go, I have to lunge to start to threaten him, okay? You need to know when you have to take up distance and give distance. You need to study my. So what you're going to do is you're going to have your partner come on guard, and you're going to practice reaching him. Can I reach him here? Yep, I can touch his hand. What if I move over here a little bit? Can I touch his hand? Nope. What if I touch his hand by leaning a little bit? I didn't have to take a step. I bent my knee, and I extended my machete, and I turned my shoulder to get extra reach. Okay, what if I try that out here? No way. What if I try it out here? No way. But I know that if I flèche from here, I have him. Look at the difference that's separating Robert. He thinks everything is everything. I can't touch him from here. Yes, I can. Using that flèche I taught you. One big step, I close that gap. That's how you have to study distance. Move around your enemy or your opponent, your training partner, and look and see what your range is. What is your lunge range? Can I hit him here? No. But if I lunge, I can hit him here. Can I hit his torso from here? If I lunge, I can hit his hand, but his torso? No. If I can feint to get his hand back, I can lunge and sometimes take his face. Okay? Play around with that. You need to become the master of my. Now, conversely, you have to know when he can touch you. I know when I'm here right now, I'm in big danger. Robert can transfix me with his point easily. I have to be on red alert. When I'm standing here, I got to be ready for him to move on him. Whatever he does, I got to be picking it up. I got to be picking it up, okay? I can't rest here. I know I'm under his 16-inch guns, all right? His battleship can fire on me, and I'm just a little tiny destroyer. I got to be red alert, okay? I got to be ready to duck and move out of the way. Back here, he has a harder chance. He can't quite reach me from here, so I can't reach him. So I have to maneuver and trick him and change my distance, get my distance to where, hey, I sneak it in on him. That's the expert use of when you fight with a machete. Practice it again and again and again with your partner. Learn to judge his distance. Learn to know when he can reach you with this point and when he can reach you with his cut. Now, his cut is going to be shorter. The point extends. You're going to get another 6 inches reach with the point. When he cuts at me, he can hit me here. All right, easily, all right? But if I go back here, he can't. But I bet he can stab me from here. See? So if he's cutting, you don't have to move back as far. But if he's thrusting, hey, I have to give more ground. You need to play with that. You need to know when he can reach you with a cut and when he can reach you with a stab. In every different attack mode. You need to practice this again and again and again. If you do it, you'll be a great machete fighter. While it's uncommon, you may find yourself, when you're fighting opponents, you may find them trying to grab and control your machete hand or arm, especially if you're being accosted by multiple unarmed attackers and there's a disparity of force situation where you're justified in pulling out your machete and using it to defend yourself. If they persist in their attack, one of their goals is going to be to smother your machete hand. They're going to try to grab your machete hand and control it, manipulate it, and disarm you. Your goal is to retain control of your machete and do as my friend Vladimir Vasilev says of Russian martial arts fame, everybody gets a little. When someone is rushing you, you have multiple attackers, you don't just concentrate on one. Everybody gets a taste of your machete. To do that, though, you have to keep your machete in action. So I'm going to have Robert come out here, and I'm going to show you some different ways to retain control of your machete when someone attempts a one-armed grab or one-armed disarm. The first thing to do when somebody grabs your machete arm is to turn the edge into it. The way you do that, now Robert, I've referred to him again, is a big, strong guy. I'm not going to go muscle to muscle. I'm going to step. When I step, I'm going to drive my arm across here. What I do, I just align the edge with my machete. As I step, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put my alive hand on the back of my machete and I'm going to slide this edge up his forearm and press him back. If he tries to punch with his other arm, I'm just going to push into him and push him off. I'm going to destroy his balance. I'm going to push that edge and shear all the way up on his arm. So I can do it from the outside in, or as he grabs my arm, I can drop my point, turn the edge here, and push in here. Now when he punches me, I'll just elbow spike him as I cover, just like that, and then shove the machete into his face. I'm being kind and gentle here and going very slow. It'll happen in light speed with horrible ferocity for real. Okay? As you get to know me a little bit better, I try to be nice, but inside I can be very ferocious. That's one of my attributes that I've developed for many, many years. So you need to be kind and gentle with your training partner and absolutely ferocious when someone attacks you on the street. So I want to really have you get hungry. When I say get hungry, be anxious, be ready, be fast, be speedy. As soon as you feel this impeded, right, turn that edge. Don't turn just with your muscle. Step. You can step here. Shove that all the way up. See that? And I can still clip him on the face if I wanted to. Okay? From the inside also, if this doesn't seem to be going, you come here, step this way. Now turn it. You got that whole edge in here. When you're going on the inside, remember that arm can fire. So cover and spike him with that elbow. It's going to rock him back. It doesn't feel good, does it? To get this elbow spike here in the pec like that, because from here, I go right back into my wipe and put my machete to work. Okay? So when he grabs your machete hand, you can come here to here. When he punches, cover and spike, go back into that wrap, bang. Okay? make your live hand work. Don't ignore it. If it's close, put it to work, especially in any infighting situation. Right there, I could go to the punch. Right there. Whenever this seems to be tied up, this is a little faster. I'm coming here. Now I could punch him here. I could, of course, kick him, and I could go back to work with my machete. God gave you all those other tools. Don't neglect them in the fight. Your primary means of defense is the edge and point of your machete, but don't neglect your other tools if they're in a handier spot in that moment of time. Now, another thing I want you to get used to doing, when you see somebody grab your machete hand, immediately drive your machete across, and like Ron showed, let's switch. I want you to drive your machete. You're going to step forward on this female triangle. Step forward here, switch. Let him have that hand. Look where my machete is. Whop, right there. Bang! I can slap him with it. I can come over here and cut and then finish him, okay? I'm going real slow so you can see your options. So when you feel your machete hand is for whatever reason being stopped or stymied, right? From here, I could put my butt across like this, drive here, change grips, and come right down there and finish him, okay? So it depends on where your hand is. I'm not going to drop all the way around here to switch. From here, I'm just going to turn my body. I'm going to use my body weight to move this massive arm. Step. You see your arm clap? Straight arm that thing. Does it still claps? So here, bang! Okay, if I need a lot of resistance, I'll put it up like this and come down, all right? Feel that. Play with that. That's right. Robert is a huge, strong guy. If I feel it here and I don't have it, I'll come up here. Once his arm's raised, I'll switch and cut him there. If I feel too much resistance this way, I come here and I feel a lot of resistance, maybe I'll hack down here and bang, I'll slap him in the back of the head. Use whatever is available at that moment in time. You all right? Anyways, you've got to use your live hand to help you all the time when you're fighting. The main thing is I want you to get used to stepping to help you trade, okay? Whatever direction, step, trade. Get used to stepping. Now, sometimes I'll drop. If I feel this is high, too, all of a sudden I'll drop my whole body weight, all right? I can drop here. If it comes loose, I'll cut him. If it doesn't come loose, I'll be in a better spot to trade. Now, I've got that upward stab. Experiment with how you can manipulate his arm so you can switch grips. So what you want to do, when you first think about it, is you want to, when he grabs, you want to line the edge. If you can't get it on this side, come to this side, okay? If you have to, step. That helps you line the edge. This helps you line the edge, okay? If you can't do that, I want you to switch hands. As soon as he grabs it, switch hands and cut him. If he's controlling your arm so much here, pull back maybe, wreck his balance. See, when he pushes me and he's braced like this, out, help him. See that? Bang! Feel what the energy he's giving you. If he's all braced here like this and holding you out and he thinks everything is everything, pull back, switch. Now where is he at? Your point is right there, inches from his throat. Finish, okay? That's a couple ways that you can free your machete and get back in the fight. Now let's continue with some other options in defending attempts to control and grab your machete hand. I'm going to have Robert come out here. And the next defense I'm going to teach you is what we call the wipe. And the wipe is using the knife hand edge of your hand. And I taught this previously on how to stop attacks with the machete, cutting into it with your knife hand. It's very similar. When I cut at Robert and he stops and grabs my hand like this, right? I'm going to take my live hand and I'm going to chop him right in the wrist. Let's spin. Just like that. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chop that right off. Now, I'm not going to hit him kindly and gently. I'm going to do the same thing I did before when I was stopping a blow from his machete. I'm going to cut into his arm with ferocity and hate. I'm going to knock that off. I'm going to wipe it right off and wipe his grip right off, and I'm going to go immediately back to work with my machete, okay? As soon as I get that, I'm going to hit that and go back to work with my machete. When he grabs it, I'm going to wipe it, and I'm going to go to work, okay? Now, one of the things that you can get carried away with, when you cut like this and knock it off, he pulls and throws his other hand. Then you have to defend. Don't be looking so intently at this that he knocks you out with that hand, all right? So when you get this and you hit here, watch for it. You may have to cut into that. Scoop it. Hold on to it and go to work on him, okay? Don't get so engrossed in your knife hand strike that, you get knocked out by that hand. From when you get this, if you move and swing it, you negate his ability to hit you. Ron showed this earlier. When I cut this and I swing that arm, I'm clear to the outside here. I can take his leg and cut his Achilles tendon off. I can hit him in the hamstring. I can hit him in the back of the head. So you need to move, or you need to manipulate his arm, or you need to put your machete back to work. You can't get relaxed here and say, oh, I'm successful, and get knocked out. When you get this wipe, wait for him to punch. Cover. Get inside of that punch. And then you can go to work. Okay? Watch for that. The wipe is a really good thing. Now, if I cut backhand, it works the same way. When I cut backhand here, I can come right in here and wipe that off. When he punches me, I'll use my machete now. See how I push it to this side? I'll cut him in the kidney, cut him in the head. Okay? When I cut backhand and he grabs that, I can chop down just right there. I can come here, clear that elbow, and just go to work. Don't admire your work. When you're successful, Ron says this to me all the time. I drill this into myself all the time. If I get this and I chop that arm off, watch for him to go. If he comes here, I pick it up here, and I go to work on him with my machete. That's how you wipe off attacks with the knife edge of your live hand. Practice wiping. Now, the last thing I want to leave you with before we continue is start out gingerly. Be considerate to your training partner. This flipping hurts. Robert's got a thick rubber pad on and enormous forearms. If I did this to an average guy and did this, okay, and I did it again and again, 100 times in a training session, shit, his arm will be wrecked for the week. Think about that. Practice slow and gently. Then build up your speed and momentum until you're shearing through arms like they were butter. Okay, let's continue with some more defenses against a one-armed attempt to grab and control your machete hand, okay? I'm going to have Robert come in here. Now, when I teach this, you need to be careful training with your partner that you don't injure him. You don't want to give him a whiplash on his neck. You don't want to injure his eyes. So let's say that I cut at Robert, and he stops my arm. He reaches out and grabs it. What I want you to do is use that finger jab that I taught from the stop hit, and I want you to immediately finger jab him in the eyes. Before you align the edge, before you try to manipulate the machete in any way or wipe it or trade hands or anything, as soon as you feel that contact, you cut, you feel that contact, bang, there goes your finger jab right into his eyes without a moment's loss, almost instantaneously. And the way you train that at home is you cut and you go. You cut backhand, and he grabs it, and you go. And you cut forehand, and you go. And you cut backhand, and you go. And you cut up, and you go. And you cut down, and you go, okay? Now, it's also hard on your fingers, okay? Hitting him in the face mask of that fist suit with the tips of my fingers again and again doesn't feel groovy either. But you need to get hungry to do this and stick him in the eyes, to do this and stick him in the eyes, to do this and stick him in the eye. Whenever anybody gets a hold of your machete hand, you have the option to instantaneously finger jab him with your empty hand. Now, if I had a knife or something in my other hand and he did that, bang, he'd be getting it right in the face or in the throat immediately. It's the same thing. Now, change up on this is to punch him in the face. As soon as he gets your machete hand, crack, you're going to hit him in the face. If he backhands and he catches it, I'm going to hit him in the face, okay? If I come low and he gets it here, bang, I'm going to hit him in the face. Now, when you hit him in the face and you get this reaction, get ready to wipe his hands off. They came off, but if he's still hanging on, he grabs it, I hit him in the face, I wipe, they come off, bang, bang, bang. My machete goes back to work. I love what the late Punang Guru Edgar Salute said, Ron's teacher. I love what he said. He says, I love the chi in my stick more than I love the chi in your fist. In other words, he said his stick was a lot more powerful than a fist blow. The same thing goes for a machete. The blade of your machete is a lot more effective than finger jabs and punching. If your machete gets tied up and you have to punch him to get room, put that machete back to work as soon as you can. Whenever you cut somebody and you have to finger jab him, if his thing comes off, go to work. As soon as his hand comes off, As soon as he releases your machete, put it back to work. You need to be hungry to feel that machete and get it back to work. As soon as I can get a reaction from him and I get that punch in, I want to put that machete back to work, okay? Be hungry to do that. Now here's how you train that. You're going to cut different motions. He's going to grab your arm. You're going to step in and punch. Here I'm going to barge him and put back my machete into work. Maybe I cut backhand. Here, like this. I'm going to wipe him here, punch him right there, and get back to work. Right here I didn't have to punch. He was 2 claps. I couldn't reach him. I'm going to come across here. I'm going to wipe down. I'm going to barge him with my shoulder and take him out. You have to adapt to every situation. How do you learn how to do that? Well, you put yourself in different situations. You make yourself vulnerable, and then you fight your way out of it. If I cut up and he grabs it, I've got that easily right here. Bang! I just kill him right there with the machete. Okay? Sometimes your arm is in a really good position to punch from one. I can hit here. I can hit up underneath, right? I can pull his arm down here and go to work. There's lots of stuff. I can step behind him here and take him right down around my knee. Work through different positions. Make yourself vulnerable, fight your way out of it. Go through all those 12 angles of attack and be hungry to finger jab and punch your opponent in the face. Sometimes you'll have to wipe. Sometimes you'll have to maneuver your edge. Sometimes you'll have to maneuver your body. Sometimes you'll barge him with your body weight. You'll have to adjust and fight your way out. Go slow. Make yourself vulnerable. Fight your way out. And I'm sure you'll be really successful with your machete. Okay, let's get going with 2 more ways to defeat disarms or grabbing attacks on your machete hand. All right, I'm going to have Robert come out here. And now I'm going to show you what we call a run under. When I swing my machete at him and he grabs it, right? Big, strong guy here. Before I do anything else, I'm going to drop my body weight, duck my head under, and I'm going to run right underneath his arm like this. When I get to the other side, I'm going to drive my arm down. See how that breaks loose? And I'm going to continue all the way behind him here. From here, I can just throw him right over my leg, all the way down to the ground, very easily. Okay? Always get to the back of people if you can. If he grabs my machete and I get here, don't stop here and start to go to work here. Continue your motion. When I cut and he grabs, I'm going to come here. I'm going to break that through. I'm going to keep going here. If I want to, I can hook this arm and drag him backwards as I work him over and hack into his arm and just hack his arm right off if I want to. Okay, there's lots of options if you get behind the guy. It's very, very difficult for him to stop this motion. Okay, especially you short guys like me. A big tall guy grabs your arm. It's easy for you to get underneath that arm. Your center of gravity is so low. Look how far I can duck. I can get almost underneath anything. I duck underneath here. I pass it, break that thing free. From here, I can just come over here and just throw him right to the ground. Easy, easy, easy if I want to. Okay? Get used to that run under. All right? It's another option that you need to have. Now I'm going to show you another one. When I cut with my machete and he grabs it, I can use my knee to peel off. But he's so tall, I'm going to have to grab his arm and drag him down and rip it off. Let's show that again. I'm going to be here in my fighting stance. I cut, he reaches and grabs it. Okay, I got to get a hold of this arm. I pull up and I drag that off. Look where he's at. I just push his head right into the mat and over. I can knee him here if I wanted to, or I can go to work with him on my machete. Use your knee to peel. If it's low, it's easy to do this. If it's high, you might want to run under, or you can lower his arm by pulling his head down. See now? I can just pull him all the way forward, right onto his face if I want to. Be hungry to get your machete free and put it back in the works. Run under his arm. Use your knee to peel it off. Wipe it off. Put the edge on him. Use all those defenses. Get your machete back to work. All right, moving forward, I want to add some more defensive options to a two-handed grab at controlling your machete hand or arm. Sometimes people will try to grab with one arm and control it. Sometimes they'll try to control it with 2 arms and really smother you and muscle you. All right? I want to show you what you can do. I'm going to call Robert out here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to swing slow motion and Robert's going to grab my arm. the first thing I'm going to do is the first defense I showed you for a single-handed grab attempt. I'm going to put my edge on him, and I'm going to shave up this arm and across, and then I'm going to insert the point, okay? When I start cutting this arm, he's going to want to get away from that edge. As he gets away, I'm going to follow him right up here and stick the point into his throat, all right? It can come from any angle. From here, I'll turn. Now to turn, he's such a strong guy here, I'm going to step forward on the female triangle here to get an angle, and I'm going to line that edge. Now I'm going to push that edge into him, and as it comes off here, I'm going to shove it into him like that, all right? Now, remember, whenever you have a hard time manipulating the blade of your machete with your wrist, step, and it'll happen for you. Take a step. I don't care where it's at. If it's over here, I can't get that with my wrist. But if I step to the side, see how he has to change? He has to fight my whole body weight here. Now I can just shave that right up his arm. On backhand, if I come here like this, and I can't get that, I'll duck underneath my blade like this, push forward until it comes on contact with his forearm like this. No matter what, I'll align that edge. I'll step till his wrist breaks. Not right now, I got contact here. I'll come down his forearm and I'll stab him. When you're training with your training partner, you want to put your machete on all the points of the compass and get used to having it interdicted by a two-handed grab. When it comes over here, even here, I can't do that with my wrist. Again, I'll step forward on that female triangle as I turn my wrist and I'll get this. Or when he gets here like this, I can maybe reach across here and pull it and turn my edge here. Now I can come this way with it. So sometimes you go over to turn your edge. Sometimes he's got my arm. Look at this. He's got my arm, but my wrist moves. All right? He's controlled my arm, but not my wrist. So I can move my wrist here, get that back of the blade, help my wrist break, and turn. Now I've got edge bite. Let's spin so the camera can see. Once I move my edge over to here and I line it, I've got edge bite. I use my empty hand to help that edge bite. Now I'm going to drive forward and up into him and spear him with the point or bayonet him. Okay? You need to make yourself vulnerable in every kind of position you can think of. He comes here and he grabs me, right? From here, I don't have to get his arm. I just use this and press in and cut him. Or he grabs here. I can grab my arm and tear it back out and cut him, okay? You need to make yourself vulnerable and look at all the different situations that you can put yourself in when you can grab your machete hand with two arms and try to control it. Look to turn your edge. If you can't turn your edge with your wrist, step and use your body weight to give you the power to turn your edge. You can come over. Always remember, if you're stymied coming this way, come underneath it. Come between. Look at that. Instead of, if he's locking me here like this, and I have a hard time, all I have to do is drop my wrist here, pull up. As soon as I get edge bite, let's spin so the camera can see. As soon as I have edge bite here, I can cut here and come right back there. You see how fast that is? Because I'm familiar with my machete. I know once I turn this here and I start to feel him weaken, I can bounce right here and stick the point in. And then I can come here and just continue to go to work. Okay? The way you get that feeling is by putting yourself in vulnerable situations on all the points of the compass with your machete. So you want to be hungry to manipulate the blade. Now, the next thing you can do, when he grabs your machete, look at this, he's tied up both his hands. Can he defend his face? Not unless he lets go. So as soon as he grabs your machete, you can drill him in the face. Okay? When you hit him in the face, don't stop hitting him in the face. Okay? Until his hands come off your machete arm, you're hitting him in the face because you know what? There's nothing he can do about it. He's got to react to that. Okay? He's got to at some point defend his face or I'll knock him out, I'll knock his eye out, I'll hurt him so bad that he's forced to let go to defend his face. Okay? So as soon as you get that, right, go to work on him with your machete. His arms are going to pop off. Be confident. You say, oh, thank you, Jesus. What a fool. Okay? He put both arms on my machete. In that split second, you've got him. And just start tattooing him. Now, You can't hit your partner like I'm hitting Robert. I'm going about half power. But even half power here, for me, is not good. I can't tell you how many times I hit on these angles, okay? With empty hand and with a sword. When I hit like this, it really is bad. Sorry, you okay? It's bad, okay? It's bad on your partner. You're going to have to go like this when you do this drill. From here, you're going to have to go slow motion. I'm going to hit here. I'm going to hit here. I'm going to hit here. I'm going to hook, okay? You're going to have to slow it way down and take the power out of it so you have a training partner the next day or the next week to train with, all right? But that's how you get used to doing that. You got to get hungry. You're going to hear me say this again and again and again. Be hungry to hit him with your empty hand whenever he grabs your machete with both arms. Now, here's some other things you can do. You don't have to respond on the high line. When he grabs it with both arms like this, you can immediately kick him in the knee, you can kick him in the shin, or you can kick him in the groin, all right? Now, Robert's not wearing a cup, so I want to be gingerly about this, but the first thing I'll do is usually kick him right in the shin, like this. I'll feel this, bang, where'd your attention go for a split second? Down. When his attention goes down, right, then you hit and then wipe. All you're trying to do is overcome his nervous system. He thinks, I'm the master. Bang, well maybe I'm not such a master. Bang, hey, my mastership is going. Then I clear his arms and I hit him, okay? So you use a progression of kicks. Whenever anybody grabs this, boom, I wiped him off right there. I have to be careful because I don't want to wreck Robert's shin. And I do this a lot. I do this without thinking all the time. So I don't have to look down there. I know where shin is. And right there is my wipe. And then it keeps going. Or I could get here and instantly put in that knee stomp. As soon as you feel your momentum stopped here, there goes your knee stomp. That's how you defeat two-handed attempts to control your machete. You can manipulate the edge. You can punch him in the face. You can kick him in the shin, in the knee, in the groin. Now, I want to teach one more, and that's the flurry punch. Okay, when I swing and he grabs, okay, there's no rule burned in stone, chipped in stone somewhere that you have to hang on to this machete. Look at, if he's got a hold of this machete, you can drop it and straight blast right down his face like that and knock him right off you. I mean, you can just send him flying with that. Both of his hands are occupied. Remember, he's got no defense for his face. Bang, 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 bang! I just start going with horrible forward pressure right through his face with a chain punch, okay? That's always an option, okay? If you can't do anything else, if this guy's really strong and all his attention is here, right? Step in and hit him. Hit him, hit him, okay? Let go of the machete. If you're starting to lose control of the machete, you want to grab it? If he's starting to get control of it, and you think you're starting to lose it, right? Bang! Bang, 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 bang! Okay? Now, I want to show you one more way to defend against a two-handed grab at your machete. This is a very quick and lethal response. When he grabs your machete, all you do is you reach through here, turn the point, and walk right through him, just like that. That is a very simple and lethal response. You need to practice it from different angles. I come through here, I turn the point, and I just push it right at him, okay? I cut backhand like this. I turn the point, I push it right into him. Remember, usually he'll be controlling your forearm and your arm, not your wrist. When he grabs that, he's got your arm, but not your wrist. I just turn my point, walk right into him, and shove that point right through him. That's a very deadly counterattack to a two-handed grab at your machete arm. So there you have it. A bunch of good ways to defeat the two-handed attempt to disarm and control your machete hand. Now I want to add to your ability and confidence with fighting with the machete by teaching you how to defeat a charge. Look at, desperate people do desperate things. It's one of my favorite quotes from the movie Rob Roy. The fop tells his uncle, hey, his story's all wrong. He's desperate. Desperate people say and do desperate things. Listen, when someone's desperate, they're going to charge and try to come to close quarters, grapple with you, pick you up and throw you on the ground and crush you like a bug. They want to use their height and weight and strength against you. And when people are losing, if a big person or there's a crowd of people, if they want to overcome your machete, they know they're going to have to get to close quarters and grapple with you and get you on the ground. That's their goal, to get your machete out of your hand or to smother you and make it ineffectual. I want to teach you how to defeat the charge. It will add immeasurably to your confidence. When you pull your machete out and need to use it defensively, you'll know that everybody around you is just meat for your machete. They're going to have the devil's own time trying to take it away from you or trying to charge at close quarters and grapple with you, because you're going to be able to escape and go to work on them. So the first thing I want to instill in your mind is the idea of never meeting someone chest to chest. When someone's charging at you and they're running at you, I saw this on television the other night. They showed a group of young teenagers in Texas that were setting up street fights and filming them, and one big guy charged the guy kind of with his hands up like this, and as he charged in here, he dropped his hands, grabbed the guy, picked him up, flipped him just like that, picked him up, dropped him on his side, and they all started putting the boots to him. Look at, when somebody big is charging at you and you've got your machete in your hand, don't let him come all the way in and get to your waist or to your body or to your torso. Don't let him do it. Don't meet him chest to chest. You want to go to the side. The way you avoid that is the quarter turn. You use the quarter turn to defeat the charge when you can't hardly see it coming. There's no precursors that you can pick up on. All of a sudden you're fighting and the guy's charging and you go, oh, I'm going to let him blow past. I don't want to meet him chest to chest. As he comes in, you're going to step from your fighting stance. I'm going to take a small step to this side. As that foot turns or touches down, I'm going to turn. So I see that charge coming, I take a step, and I pivot, and I turn. Now, watch exactly what happens. As I step here, as this turns down, my hips are going to turn this way, and my foot's going to rock up, and I'm going to rest the edge of my foot on the ground. What that's going to do, it's going to take my torso out of his path so he doesn't meet me chest to chest. If I can get to here and get on the side of him, I've got a great chance of fighting him off. Even if I'm late, even if he's almost on top of me and I do this and his momentum is coming into me, as I get to the side of his momentum just a little bit, I have a big advantage in fighting him off. What you don't want to do is I'm going to call Robert in here. I don't want this big guy. I swing, I overswing, he charges. I don't want to be caught like this, okay? What I want to do is I swing, and as he comes in here, I get him here, like this. Even if he gets one arm around me, even as long as I don't end up here, even if this gets captured right from here, I can still fight him off, okay? Don't let him get chest to chest. Don't let him get his arms wrapped around you. Don't let him get here to pick you up. If he starts to pick you up, there's things you can do. You can hop with it. You can drop your weight. You can stick your foot between his legs so he can't lift you. We've got answers to all of that stuff, and we're going to go into more of it in the standing grapple. Look at the reason I want to emphasize this is it's something most people don't talk about. They don't really teach you how to fight off people that want to use this tactic against you. Now, you say, well, who's going to do this, Lynn? You're full of it. Hey, anybody that's big, tall, strong, and young is going to try this if they don't have a machete or another weapon. Big guys have gone through life relying on their height, weight, and strength to get them through all obstacles and to dominate, all right? So if you've got your machete here and you're cutting him and he's really motivated, he's going to wait for that opportunity to charge. If you do that quarter turn, you've got a really good chance to get the side of him. So here's how you do it. When I see him come in, you don't want to go too soon. I don't want to be standing here. Here, he's going to adjust and grab me. No problem. Just as he's outside and trying to get me, just as his arms extend, he's not going to come forward like this. No, he's going to keep his hands up defensively, but at some point, he's got to stick his hands out to grab me. At some point, when he does that, that's when you start your quarter turn. Now, you can go your right or your left. When I go to my right, I do this. That's a little harder to go to your left, but sometimes you're going to need to do it. You come this way and let him blow by. Here's one way to practice. When he comes in, stick your arms out and let him pull him through. That's how you know if you're doing the quarter turn right. Come again, Robert. From the other side. As he comes forward, you just steer him past you like that. Okay? Get used to doing that with your training partner. You're going to wait to the last possible second. He comes here, and you're going to quarter turn and let him come through. Comes again. You're going to let him charge in. The last possible second, you're going to let him quarter turn and come through. Okay? Let that momentum blow past you. Now, with the machete, you're going to go to work. As you see him come in, and he goes to grab you, that's when you can put your machete in. Bang! Cut that hand off. Or, as you come in here like this, and he reaches to grab, come above him. Take his head. Or, you can come in here. As he comes, target the back of his calf. Cut him on that side. You can quarter turn it the other way. From here, take his arm. Now, let me show you something. When I step to this side, in all likelihood, I'll have a backhand blow. When I step to this side, in all likelihood, I'll have a forehand blow. You need to get used to doing those backhanded blows. They're a little bit more awkward for you. Practice that a lot. When he comes in, let him get here and make that quarter turn. A little faster. Try again, full speed now. Just like that. He's going to come right into you with momentum. Let him come in and cut him. One more time. Just keep working him over with your machete. Don't meet him chest to chest. You don't have to. Now, I'm going to show you a variation on the quarter turn that gets you into a better position defensively and offensively. We call it a step and pivot. A step and pivot. You're going to be here in front of your mirror in your training area, right? You're going to imagine that charge coming at you. You're going to take a step to your right. As you touch down, you're going to pivot this leg around like that and face into that charge. The charge is coming forward. I see that charge. I'm going to step and pivot and deliver my blow. I can go to my right, or I can go to my left. Now, when I go to my left, watch. I take a step here. As this touches down, I'm pulling my body around and out of the way, okay? And I'm setting myself up for a backhand strike. Maybe I go to his head. Maybe I come over here and I drop low and I cut his calf, okay? But it takes you further away and gives you a bigger blow with your machete. I'm going to have Robert come in, and we're going to model that real slow. He's going to come in. I see that charge. Bang! I target his head. See the big full stroke I can get if I do the step and pivot? It gives you more time. Bang! Got a big stroke. Now, you use the step and pivot when you can read the tack a little bit better. You use the quarter turn when you're taking unawares. Ah! I see it. Ah, I see it. Ah, I see it. That's when you use the quarter turn. If you can see him start to charge from there, man, clean as clock. You got a really good chance of taking him out. Same thing on the other side. If his hands are up and you see him coming, take him out. Hit him in the side of the temple. If you want to be more humane, you could take his arms from here as he comes in, target his arms and cut his arm, okay? Now, you can also, remember, always choose to go down the force continuum and hit him with the spine or the flat of the blade if you think that's more appropriate for that moment of time. You can also thrust. You don't always have to cut. I come here like this. I can stab him in the gut pile as he goes by. Let's try it from the other side. When he comes in here, I can come here and stab him right in the face as he goes by with my step and pivot, okay? So you need to get good at step and pivot and quarter turn. Here's another way to stop the charge. If you're late and nothing else misses and he's coming in here and he gets right here, straight arm him off, okay? If you can't get even your quarter turn off, okay, if I can't get to here or I can't get to here, I'm still not going to give up. I'm not going to let him put his arms around me. When his arms come out to grab you, that's a chance for you to straight arm his face, bang, and knock him off. Now, you're not going to stop a 265-pound man hitting a mamby-pamby, okay? That straight arm, when that comes, man, I'm going to rock his world with that. I want to give him that hard jolt. It's not a push. I don't want to do this. I don't want to push him back like that. No, you're not going to overcome him like that. What I want to do is when he comes in here, bang, I'm going to give him that short, kind of a short smack like that. That good, short, powerful pack like that. And I want his head to go like that. Ugh! As soon as you get that, bang, bang, there your machete goes to work. You're fighting off that charge. How do you get this in? He's got to open his hands at some point to circle your waist or to circle your arms. At some point in this charge, he's got to open his hands. That's when you put that straight arm in, okay? Here's another one. If you can't get out of the way, and he's coming in like this, if you can come on, just come all the way through, and I can't get out of the way, I'm going to insert my arm right here. I couldn't get all the way out. I couldn't all the way to the side. I just couldn't get there. I get over here like this, I'm going to push his head down into the floor, all the way down. Watch what I do with my arm. I'm going to let him come in here, and right here, I'm fighting him. He's trying to get that, and I'm going to go with his momentum and push him down and take him with my machete, okay? Push his head down into the ground. If his head comes on the other side, he comes in here, and I get here, I push his head right down. You got to drop your own weight. Drop your own weight, drive me on the ground, bang, let him have it. Let's try it again from this side. He's here like this, and I miss, and I miss, and miss. Ah, man! Now, I got him, right? Go to work on him, okay? The main thing is you get this hook on his neck. Either come on in, either here. See my hook? I want the camera to catch that. See, I've got my forearm wedged in here like this. Now, the key here is to drop your weight, force that head down straight into the ground, okay? On the other side, same thing. If you can't get this, and you get this, get that hook. And now, as you start to vacate the space, let him come through and press, 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 all the way down, take him out. That's some good ways to stop the charge. Here's another one. Let's say he comes all the way in, and he gets a hold of me. Bang, like this. I'm going to use the fist peel to just peel him right off. Let's go on this side. Come on. As he comes in, and he goes to grab me, I'm going to insert my hand right here, and I'm going to turn his head and push him all the way around like that. I'm going to peel him off. Try it from this side. On this side, I may have to use my machete. When he comes in here to grab me, right, I'm going to use my, look at this. See this part of my machete right here? I'm going to turn his head like that. I'm going to peel him all the way off, just like that. Peel him off. If you can't use your machete for some reason, you don't give up the fight. You keep going, okay? Let's try that again. Once more time. Come a little lower. Comes in here low on me. I get my hand in here, just like this. I start to crank his head. I can actually walk across like that. He can't resist that on his neck and face. He's got to turn. Once I get that fist peel on his face, and I get his head like this, he can't resist it. He's got to go with that momentum, all right? That's the fist peel. The fist peel is really useful. Now, the key is, when he comes in, come low and put your head right here. Right here. I put my hand right here, and I take my thumb, just like this. I stick it there, and I start peeling his face off. When his face comes up like this, I drive forward and back and just turn him off. Now, I can use my machete too. But if you didn't have a machete, I wanted you to see how you can do it. Let's try it on the other side, coming this way. Comes in and grabs me. From here, I insert my hand right here. I want the camera to see that. See that? My thumb, my fist goes right in here on his face. And now I start turning him like that and driving him around and peeling him right off me. Very, very difficult for him to stop that. That's the fist peel. Now, here's one more. Let's say he shoots at your legs. When he comes in to shoot at your legs, give ground, cut his head off, right? But what if you can't? He's taking it up here, and all of a sudden he shoots her. What I want you to do is sprawl right here. Move around him, okay? Your legs vacate. When he goes to grab your legs, what I want you to do is shoot back like this. Put your body weight on him. And now go to work with your machete. Never forget that your machete is much more powerful than any of the other weapons you have in your disposal. So when someone charges, you want to get out of their way. You don't want to meet them chest to chest, and you want to punish them as soon as you can with your machete. Drive them off, fight them off. Keep these things in mind, and people won't close on you when you're holding a machete. Okay, now I want to add more techniques to bolster your confidence in defending yourself with your machete. What I want to do now is address the standing grappling range with the machete. While it's unlikely you could find yourself in this position, and I wouldn't be intellectually honest if I didn't give you the answers for it. All right? So I'm going to have Robert come in here, and Robert's going to attack me with the machete. And we're going to get in here, and we're going to cut, and he's going to grab me. The first thing I do when I feel him grab me like this is I'm going to drop my center of gravity, get my base low so he can't pick me up. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze him with my elbows. I'm going to turn, and I'm going to target this calf right here with that hacking stroke. Whack, 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 whack. He's going to move that. He's going to have to get out of the way. While I'm doing that, I'm going to be putting all my power into trapping this arm here so he can't get his loose while I'm hacking his leg. All right? So when he pulls that leg out to get it out of the way, I'm going to come here. I'm not going to let go of that arm. I'm going to start working him over now, cutting that arm. Why? I know where his arm is. I don't want to give that up. If he comes in here and he grabs me, I want to switch so they can see. All my available power here is going to cinching this in and holding that tight, immobilizing that, and then I'm going to free mine and hack that leg. Maybe I hack his kidney. He's not going to like that. Maybe I come over here and he's not going to like that. He's going to have to change. When he does, I may push him to get the room to use my machete. Okay? Never give up. Your machete is a wonderful tool. It has a lot of reach that you can use in a standing grapple to fight off your enemy. Okay, here's some other things you can do. I swing, I swing, I swing, and he grabs me. The first thing I can do here is I drop my center of gravity. I feel him start to lift. If he starts to lift and I'm behind, he starts to lift me, I can get in here and hook his leg. Now I can stymie his lift. Look at this. Now I put my edge here and I start sawing. He just forgot about trying to pick me up and smash me like a bug. He wants to get away from that sawing edge of my machete. Anytime you get chest to chest with somebody, drop your center of gravity. You may have to take a step to get down. Move your machete. Saw on him. Hack on him. Push him. Take him out. Okay? Use all those ways I taught you earlier to employ your edge. Saw and hack with your machete at close range. Don't be afraid also to switch hands. If one hand feels like it's in better position, switch to that. Right there. And take him out. Okay? Use your machete like I taught you in all kinds of different ways. Don't be taken off your feet. Drop your center of gravity. If you start to lose it and he starts to pick you up, insert a leg and hook. Here, he can't lift you now. But your machete can go to work. While he's trying to lift you, you're going to shear through his head like a buzzsaw. That's how you defeat the standing grapple with your machete. One of your pillars in fighting with a machete should be your ability to instantly and immediately identify openings in your opponent's defense. Everybody, at some time or another, makes a mistake and gives you an opening in their defense that you can exploit. I want you to become an expert at recognizing and exploiting these openings. I'm going to call Robert out here, and we're going to go through. There's almost 20 common openings that you need to memorize. I watch these when I'm on the treadmill. I watch this on my knife fighting tapes all the time. I'm constantly burning these openings into my mind so that when I'm sparring, I see them and I can react to them instantly without any thought, because these openings are fleeting. Hear me well. They're not there for a long time. They're fleeting. They're just there for a very fraction of a second. But if you're hungry to see them and you know what they are and you're anticipating seeing them, you can exploit them with your machete to very good results. So the first one, and the one you'll see all the time, is a hand held still. Now, it only may be held still for a fraction of a second, but anytime your hand isn't in motion, it's vulnerable. So anytime you're moving around and your enemy holds his hand still, it can be slashed. It can be slashed. It can be stabbed. It can be stabbed. It can be stabbed. It can be stabbed. You can come in here. You see that held still for just a fraction of a moment in time. He may be moving it around really good and giving you good evasive patterns, and all of a sudden he'll hold it still as he moves, or he thinks what he's going to do. He'll hold it still just for a microsecond. That's what you're waiting for, dude. When he holds that thing still, you're ignoring all this. And then when he holds it still, you move it around, he holds it still. That's when I cut it. That's what you're waiting for. You're not cutting it when it's moving, he's being all evasive. All of a sudden he thinks, I got to do this. He forgets for just a microsecond. He holds it still, you take it, all right? That's a really good opening to identify, a still hand. The other thing is some people will move their machete defensively, but their arm won't move with it. So his wrist is moving, he's moving his wrist, but his arm's staying in the same place. So what you do when you recognize that is you move and you target that forearm that's not in motion. Get away with this feet circling, okay? You don't want to stick your hand in there and get nicked. What you want to do is when you see that happening and he's doing something like this, step over here and cut that still arm. That arm isn't in motion, it's holding still. You can target it. The next thing that they do is that you're moving around with them and they stop. You're moving, and when he stops, that's when you jump in and cut him. A body not in motion is vulnerable. You see this all the time. If you come to the Cold Steel Challenge, you'll see some of those fighters there are so fast, his opponent's moving. If he stops for an instant, bang, he races in, gets his hit, races out like light speed. It's beautiful to watch, okay? A body that's not moving has an opportunity to cut or stab. So watch for a still body. You make that person move, you make him move with you, make him move with you, and he holds still. For that split second, that's when you cut him, okay? Now, the next thing I want you to look for is repeating hand pattern. Now, I taught you those evasive motions. When I taught you those evasive motions, I said you can't use it very long. You can't use the same pattern very long or he'll key to that. People don't change up often enough. They might cut this diagonal line too long. As soon as I see your attention that you're trying to figure out that line, I've got to switch, okay? I've got to change, I've got to change, I've got to change, I've got to change, okay? And I've got to go back and forth in my evasive patterns. People don't do that, though. You see an evasive pattern, let's say he's going back and forth like that. Time that and cut into it. Just like little girls learn how to jump rope, they watch, and then they're jumping. Same thing. You can do this with your subconscious mind will help you. As you spar, you'll see that evasive hand pattern. He's moving, and you'll cut it. As he's opening or closing that line, you'll come into that pattern. You'll cut right into that pattern, okay? So, don't keep your hand going in the same evasive pattern very long. But watch for your enemy to do that. He'll make that mistake, I promise you. Now, the next thing you can look for is an exposed forearm. People constantly cross and they open and close this forearm like this, constantly as they move. I got this in saber fencing the other day with a very expert saber fencer, but he thought he was going to try something new on me, and he gave me his forearm for just the tiniest part of a second, and bang, I cut him. And he goes, crap, I can't do that with you. You know why he can't do it with me? Because I've looked for that opening for 25 years, and I recognized it instantly. So look for that opening. When he crosses his arm, watch for that. Bang! I nicked him right there. Bang! I got him. Bang! I got him. Okay? Watch for him. When someone goes, like I said, to set up that vertical whip, or they want to go to a circular motion, watch him. As this arm crosses, it exposes, okay? His edge is over here now, right? That gives you an opportunity to attack. Now, some people will bait you with it. They'll give you this, and as you come, they'll turn back and counter-cut into you. That's a very experienced fighter doing that, okay? But most people don't have that skill to lay a trap for you and bait you and then counter-cut into you. Watch for that exposed forearm. It can close or open. Here it's open here it's vulnerable here. Watch for that. The next thing is they expose their flank. Run on people. Make them move on you. I move to Robert's side here. As I come around him, I see that I get ahead of him, and I cut him right on that flank. He needs to face me, keep his machete between himself and me all the time. If I can come to this side of Robert, and then I can run here and switch, I'll switch and cut that exposed flank. His machete was clear over here. When I saw that, I'm going to keep moving around, switch, and cut that exposed flank. It's really effective. Look to cut an exposed flank. The way you find that is you move him with lateral motion. Come in and threaten him, move back out. Run on him, see what he does. If he's slow, turn him back with you, run over here, and make that cut. Run on him over, move him this way, run him over here, and make that cut before he can turn back into you. Okay? Now, the other thing is, Watch for him to tilt his head forward. This is a big one. People crouch. They're like this. You're moving around. Maybe I'll cut here. A couple times I'll come short. As I cut here, I'll come right back up. I'll make a small cut, just like it went short. I make a short cut, let it come short here, and then come right back into my thrust and take that forward tilted head. Continuing with some of the openings that your opponent's going to give you and how to identify them, the next one I want to talk about is a fault that a lot of tall guys have, is their stance gets too long and they give you their forward leg. Robert's a big, tall guy, and he's aware of this, but sometimes, they try to inch in there like this, and I see that leg is starting to get forward like this. So what I want to do is I want to get his machete to come up. So I'm going to target this side of his face. When I see that, I say, that's how he reacts to that feint. So I come here, and I jump down, and I get ready instantly to respond. So I'll show that again. I see that, I come in here, I jump down, and I'm ready because I know I'm under the gun. Okay? I'm under a 16-inch gun there. When I jump in here, and I cut his calf, I've got to turn and be ready to keep moving, okay, with my machete. Got to be on high alert when you pull that off. But if his leg gets too long, too far in front of him, it makes it more vulnerable so that you can feint him up, cut that, and go to work, okay? You cut somebody in the leg with your machete, they're a changed man. Now, the other thing that they do quite often is their live hand drifts away from their body. People put their arm out here. Now, a really highly skilled fighter like Ron and Willie Lorenzano, they'll do that to trap and bait you and to confuse you, right? That's on a real high level. Most people, though, will do it out of ignorance, not out of high skill. They'll let this drift away from their body without realizing it. When you see that's coming out there like that, don't look at it. If he sees your gaze coming to here, you're telegraphing your attention. Once you recognize it, you want to pretend like you didn't notice it. So you're going to move around him. Maybe cut to this hand and cut here and come back. What I normally do is when I see that a live hand drift out, I'll come halfway and threaten this hand. As I get to this halfway point, I'll turn back and cut that alive hand. That's what I wanted all along. So look for that alive hand to drift out, okay? Now, another opening that people give you is their tension's too high or their tension is too low. If you see everything's all about up here, and he thinks attack's all going on up here, it gives you a chance to drop again. Always look to see what they're watching. If he thinks, and most people think the fight's above the waist, all right? In a street fight, most people are headhunters. They think that all they're doing is trying to hit you in the head. When they're fighting you with a machete, what they're trying to do is hit you in the head or in the arm or in the neck, okay? That's where the fight's all about. They're not thinking about their legs being as vulnerable as they should. So when you see someone's attention's high like this, now it's a long ways in underneath him, but if you're fast and you're ready, what I normally do when I see their tension's high, as soon as I cut, I come right to that hand. If it's here, I'm already turning. I don't wait for him to throw. When I cut him and I see his attention's high, I come here and I'll keep moving. I'll go right there and check it. Just like if we don't have machetes, come on guard, put that hand forward. The other switch. If I pick this up and I want to enter, I'll press that in and jam the gun right here and go to work on him. It's the same thing with your machete. You can do the same thing. Don't wait for him to fire. If you get here, get in here, okay? Jam the gun on him right away. If you get that cut, attack, come up, pick up that weapon hand, jam it in, continue your attack. That's how you do attention too high. Attention too low, he's over here like this. Move around. Target the top of his head. Don't cut him low in here. Get up here. When I see someone's attention's too low, maybe it's here in my torso here, or they look at this, I'm going to come here. I'm going to snap cut on the top of his head, right here with my machete, split that scalp open, rain blood down his forehead. I'll be back with more. Now I want to continue with our segment on identifying openings in your opponent's defense. One of the things that everybody does, myself included, there isn't anybody that doesn't fight, that doesn't have this or give this opening, is they have a momentary lapse of attention. The more you fight, the more you spar, the longer you're going to be able to keep up your concentration without a lapse. The less experienced you are, the more frequent and the longer your lapses of attention are going to be. What your job as a fighter is to sense that tiny fractional lapse of attention that inevitably occurs in the fight. There's a tiny motion, or a tiny moment rather, when his attention may go to moving his feet, or his offense, or gee, I almost got cut there, and I need to move here, and he's out of the zone as far as attention goes, okay? He has a lapse of attention. He's not ready to receive your attack, and that's what you want to sense. Quite often, what I do to exploit that is I'll be moving in this stance with my strong side forward, and then I'll move to I'll put my strong side back like this, and I'll suck in here. And what I want to do is I want to look for a lapse of attention, and when I sense it, I'm going to come with a big overhand stroke like that. And I'm going to take him in that moment of time that I sense he's not prepared for that long-range attack. It looks kind of crude. It looks kind of slow. But you know what? Back up just a little bit, Robert. It has a tremendous amount of reach. I'm moving here like this. Lots of people don't think that I can reach them right here like this. I get here like this, and I come here, and I got lots of reach. Actually, if you practice your mind with this stroke, you'll find that you can reach him clear out here, a long ways away. There may be almost 10 feet separating us. All I do is I push, step, and stroke. It goes right between his defenses. He's moving his blade. He thinks everything's everything. And then, he's pretty safe. Not much going on. He's out of range. And then, bang! You step in from clear out here with that big, long overhand stroke like that and split his skull open. Look for a lapse of attention. Here's another one. Especially people that don't fight all the time, which is who you're going to face. Look at how many highly skilled machete fighters are in the United States of America. Not very many. Most people you face will be pretty unskilled. They're going to watch your feet. If you practice your footwork and you move on him, he's going to be figuring out your foot. When you see him looking at your footwork, trying to keep up with you, right? Come in there, bang one off the top of his head. Okay? Reach up above him. He's going to look at your feet, and I want you to target not his face, again, his scalp, right here. Reach in, snap, cut down, crack. Doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a head splitter. Move in here and give him that snap cut on the top of the head with your machete blade. Blood is going to rain down his face. His mind is going to go to the moon with Lorna Doone. You're going to have a great follow-up. People will watch your feet. If you lead him in and out and you make him move, he's got to try to keep up with you. When you see him keeping up with you, that's when you move in and cut him on the top of the head. Watch for that. Here's another one. People, they carry their weapon too high or too low to defend themselves. Some people, their weapon gets so high up here, and if you see that, you can bring them up even higher. What I do quite often, I'm moving like this. I'll go like this. When I see that guy raise, as I raise him with my arms, I raise him with my shoulders. As I do that, I raise here, I drop low. Robert pulled back there. He's been hit by that before. So he's really doesn't want to get hit there today. So what I do is I move him around, I raise him up, I drop low, and I immediately go to that arm. Don't wait for him to descend on that arm. If you get here and you raise and you cut the guy, put your blade in the path of his arm. Get behind your blade. Look at. If I cut Robert here like this, I put my blade and cross that. He can't come down. If he comes hard, I'll just add, spear him, barge him, push him, go to work on him, okay? We taught that earlier. Watch for his weapon to be too high or too low. Some people, they get tired. The machete's here, then it gets lower, then it gets lower, then it gets lower. Look at, when his machete gets too low, it keeps dropping, 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 flick, that snap cut at his face. This is why the snap cut's so important. When you see his blade get low, as you move, what I do is I kind of set it up. I let my point drift this way, and I snap cut. So as I see his blade get low, I'll let mine drift, and I'll snap cut his face, just like that. Look at, as if his machete is down here, and mine comes at this angle here. There's no way he's going to be able to interdict that motion unless he's lucky enough just to jerk his head back. He'll never defend himself with his blade from that position. So watch for his attention, too high or too low. Now I want to conclude this segment on identifying openings and give you just a few more things to watch for. One of them that's really, really common is an overstrike. I do it, Ron does it, Willie Laureano does it, everybody I know, Robert does it. We all give this opening, whether we want to or not. What happens is you see an opening that you think, man, that's a sweet opening. And I swing, and I open up, and he clocks me. Or I swing backhand, and he opens up, and I get clocked like that. Or I make him miss. He swings, and I go like this, and I go, look at that opening right now. It's from an overstrike. Anytime your machete goes outside of your body, I call this your window of movement right here. Right here. Anytime your machete leaves that window of movement, it's an overstrike, and it happens all the time. Anytime it's starting to approach being an overstrike when it gets past your center line. When you're cutting and you get past here, you should be recovering. If you get out here, you're vulnerable. You've showed this entire part of your forearm and shoulder. If you find yourself doing that, you need to get back behind your blade. I'll probably step backwards on the male triangle here and then turn again and get back behind my machete, okay? When I cut this way, I open, okay? This whole part of my body is open right now. My machete's over here. I'm really open. So what I've got to do is step towards my machete and get back behind my machete, all right? Everybody makes overstrikes. Watch for it. Robert's just going to cut back and forth, and I'm going to watch for him to make his overstrike. He makes an overstrike right there. There's a big one, little smaller motions. He overstrikes, and I catch him right here. He starts to load. He comes here, and I catch him on this side. Comes again. I catch him on this side. Comes again. I catch him on that side. I look for him to cross his center line, and I can either meet or follow it with my blade. I watch him to come too far. He cuts at my hand, and I pull back. He overstrikes. He misses. He cuts at my hand. I pull up. He misses, okay? That's a common opening. Anytime anybody overstrikes with their weapon, you've got a good chance to score. We all do it. You have to be very careful about it. Lots of people that are highly skilled with a machete, they train themselves. They're cutting small arcs all the time. They're afraid of overstriking. Or, like with this Watik that Ron taught, sometimes you come here and you pull your arm back because you don't want to overstrike. You cut into them, but you don't want to come forward. You cut, you just bounce off and get back out. You don't want to come all the way over here and risk an overstrike. You're just not comfortable with it at that moment in time. Arm out for a fraction of a second. Now I'll watch again, I'll wait for him to cut, and then I'll turn back in. Normally, if I fold back and he cuts, he's going to return, and I'm already prepared to pick that up. Or when he cuts, I'm going to drop into it. So I'll put my arm out here, and I'll be prepared to counter slash into it. Or I'll let my arm out, pull back, and counter cut into it. Leave my arm out, pull back, counter cut into it. Leave my arm out, cut out, come back. Or when I put my arm out, I'll instantly be ready to pull back. So I look in here, he's going to go for that, okay? If he doesn't go for your bait, if I stick this here and he waits, I'll stab him in the face. That's the advantage of baiting. If you put an obvious bait in front of your opponent, he's got to either back up and not take it, or you can go on the attack. If I stick this arm out and he waits, I'll attack, okay? He's got to deal with it. I encroached his space. So what's he going to do? He's got to attack it, or give ground, or get stabbed. So I put it out here. When he attacks, I'm going to countercut him. If he attacks, I'm going to fold back, and I'm going to countercut him. Or I can change angle on him. I pull back here, and I can jump in here, and I can cut him on the calf, and totally change the angle of my attack or my response. Okay? That's how you bait. Lots and lots and lots of different ways to bait. I can bait with my live hand. I can move around like this and let that live hand drift out. And so I'll let him watch. I'll let him watch me. I'll get drafted out, and all of a sudden I'll go here. And when he does that, I'll take his live hand. Okay? Sometimes I'll be here like this, and I'll just put it out and drop it. Even if I'm out of range, I'll bait him with it. I'll come out here. When he goes for it, I'll take the other hand. I'll even ignore this hand here. So I'll let him, when you're practicing, this is how you do it. Don't hit my hand hard. Let him get out here and let him hit your hand. Okay? Get used to this when you're practicing. Okay, now you know. You're going to stick it out, he's going to go. So when I get out here, he goes, and get used to it. This is where you practice at home with your training partners, and you get good at baiting people. Is let him hit your bait. Get used to what it's like to have to evade. You get hit a couple times on that hand, deliberately let him hit you, and then you get just the right feeling for how you move it out of the way and to continue your attack. There's lots of different ways that you can bait. You can use your hand and arm as bait. You can use your leg as bait. Watch. I'll be moving around Robert, and I'll come in here and I'll threaten him with that leg. And I'll come in here and I'll threaten him. I'll move around, I'll threaten him with that leg, and when he cuts at it, I'll pull my leg back. When you stick that leg in, what you want to do is you want to feign that forward motion. You want to fool him that you've made a mistake and stepped too long into his cutting sphere. So I want to be able to pull back. When he cuts at that, I want to be instantly ready. Now, you have to, when you're using this bait, you have to make sure you don't put too much weight on your front leg as you step in. That's part of the bait. That's the skill in baiting. If I come in here and I plant, I can't drag that leg out, okay? I have too much weight on it. So I come in here and I plant and I pull my leg out, okay? You can bait that way. You can bait with your head. Sometimes I'll be here like this and I'll start crouching. I'll look like this. And all of a sudden, what I want is I want to pick up that hit to the head and I want to get that roof block. So when I put this up, I want to be able to move on him. What I'm going to do is as I move around, I'm going to start crouching. And I'm going to get lower and lower. What I want him to do is to cut at the top of my head. What I'm looking for is when I get here is that roof block. When I get it and I get here, I can come right here and take him out, okay, and end the fight. It's a little dangerous bait, but it can be very successful. All parts of your body can be used to bait your opponent into make an attack that you're prepared to defend and to counterattack into instantly. That's how you bait with your machete. All right, let's continue our segment on how to create openings with feinting. Feinting is what every skilled fighter has in his arsenal or bag of tricks. He has moves that he can put on you to convince you that an attack is on its way and you need to defend it. A good feint will delude you into thinking that his feint is the real attack. As you come out to defend it, he goes in another direction or at another level and cuts or stabs you. That's what a feint does. It's an illusion. But the key to successful feinting is to make that illusion so real that he feels forced to respond to it. To defend against feigning, if you feel the guy's a master at feigning and his movements are deceptive, you just change your position. You can give ground and go out in a lateral motion. Make him move. Have him have to reset and start all over again. You don't have to stay there to react to his feints. The other defense against feigning is to make your responses small. If someone feints to your right, instead of coming over here with an inside sweep, until you're sure, don't commit. Move your blade a little bit, move your body a little bit. Don't commit until you see him actually commit to that blow. We say in saber fencing that your defense should be late. Stay in the center here with your machete. Don't respond to his feint. Don't respond to his stroke until the last possible second until you know it's the real blow. So you're moving around here, you see him feint to the right, and when he finally goes, but be ready, he feints over here, you move here, oh, no, that was a feint. He came to the other side. I had to defend on that line. And inside sweep to the other side, okay? That's how you feint. Now I'm going to have Robert come out here, and I'm going to show you in slow motion so that you get the idea so you can train this at home, all right? The first feint that I want to do is I'm going to feint to one line and attack the next. When I feint Robert on this side, he's going to react. So when I get that reaction, I'm going to come over here and cut this side. Or I could feint this side. Here, I'm going to make a big motion. I'm going to make it penetrate. And I'm going to come here. Okay? So you can feint from side to side. I can also feint him from high to low. I'll move around like this. I'll draw him up. When I see him draw him up and he comes here, I'll drop underneath him and cut him, okay? So you can feint high and pull him up and cut low, or you can cut low here and hit him on the head. So some of the feints can be done with your body. You come in here and you drop. Now, when he drops, you can spring to the side. I see a lot of this in our Cold Steel Challenge. We have some terrific young fighters. They'll come in here like this, they'll feint, and they'll leap in the air, go to the side, land on the top of the head, and score beautifully, okay? You can feint with your arm motion. You can feint with your body. You can feint with your head. You can feint with your hips. You can feint with your knees. You can feint with your eyes. I can come over here and look like this or look like this. And there's lots of different ways that you can attract his attention, okay? You can feint at his knife or machete hand here and come over here and hit his alive hand, or vice versa. I can be moving around and making him move and making him move and make one shallow cut there. And he goes, holy shit, that was close. And I come over here, and I make that again, and I target his machete hand, okay? Or I can feint short and go long. I've alluded to this before. This is a great feint. Robert's on guard. I'm going to cut at his machete hand, and he's going to pull back. Okay? I move around, I cut at that hand. I cut at this hand again. Now, when I come in here, I cut deep. He pulls back. I ignore his hand, cut his abdomen. He thinks the target is his machete hand. He pulls it back. He pulls it back. I come again. When he pulls back, I target his abdomen. Go real slow. I'll come shallow. I'll come shallow. Maybe I'll come over here and threaten that one. He thinks it's all about his hands. I don't want his torso. Now I come in here and I go deep and I extend my arm. Same level as his hand. Okay? Just the same look, but instead of coming here, I'm going to stretch and target his abdomen and slash his abdomen. That's how you go short, then long. Okay? You can feint with a barrage of blows. I can be here like this, and I can just move all over the place. What I want him to do is start reacting. And when I see he's going back and forth, starting to chase, you've got him. Look at. When someone starts to move their machete too much like this, and they start standing still, they're getting cemented in concrete. They're not going to be able to react. So when you feinting from side to side, and you know you've got him, make him move from side to side, drop low and cut him. Now I'm going to have Ron come in, and he's going to teach you how to feint by changing the angles of your attack, and also how to overcome your opponent's defenses and to feint him out of position by attacking in combination, stringing blows together that eventually will penetrate his defense as his nervous system breaks down and can't handle them all. So Ron's going to come in just a minute and teach those.
Okay, we're going to go into creating an opening. Now, a lot of what we do in creating an opening is just combine attacks. You don't want to just come with a static swing of like a forehand and a backhand. You want to vary the angles. You want to create an opening by mixing up your opponent, going somewhere where they don't expect you to go, obviously. So this is what we do. Normally when we have a student, we start them off basic. So here it goes. We're going to go downward X. 1, 2, 3. I want you to hit a low backhand and a high backhand. Again, 1, 2, 3, low, high. 1, 2, 3, low backhand, high backhand. After you're used to that, then you're going to draw upward. 2, 3, low, high. Again, 1, 2, 3, low backhand, high backhand. Then I'll make you combine it. 1, 2, 3, low, high to the up, 2, 3, low, high. Now slowly, down, 2, 3, low backhand, high backhand, up, 2, 3, low, high. After they're used to that, then we're going to vary the angles. They call this lazy 8. Now what we were doing was an 8. Now I'm going to vary the angle. So I want you to think of an 8, but we're going to make a big circle up top over here to my left and a little circle on the right. So watch this. I will draw up, then I come low, uppercut, low, high. If I bring Joey in, now if you look at him, I'm going to kind of go 3/4 so the camera can get him more than me. All right, put your hands to your side for now. All right, so when I come up, it draws up to the face, to the knee, up to the face, low backhand, high backhand. 1, 2, 3, low, high. So you see it looks like an 8, but they call it lazy 8 because it's got a small loop in it. So again, 1, 2, 3, low, high. Now I could change this. I could put the little loop up top, big loop on the bottom. Okay, and the way I do it is the same thing. I go 1 and I go right to the face and then to the knee. Right here, low, high. Up, 2, 3, low, high. Now if I flip it back to the original, it was up, drop all the way to the knee, back uppercut, low, high, or just tighten up that top loop. 1, 2, 3, low, high. That's the second. The third in the lazy 8s, we're going to make the little circle here, the big circle here. So what I do is I slash across now, come all the way up, and then go across the face. Low, high. You see it? I start at the face, uppercut, back to the face, low, high. 1, 2, 3, low, high. That's my third. Now flip the loop around, big loop here, little loop here. All right? So we go at the knee, uppercut to the head, back at the knee, low backhand, high backhand. 1, 2, 3, low, high. Thanks, Joe. So when you do this, you have, I'll do it for camera. All right? So when we go, little loop up top, big loop on bottom, low, high. Now we're going to switch it. Big loop up top, little loop on the bottom, low, high. Now we're going to go big loop on the bottom, little loop on top, opposite side, low, high, or little loop at the bottom, big loop on top, low, high. This is what we call the lazy 8 pattern. We're going to go into combination attacks. Now this is where you're going to start to put it all together, and if an opponent comes to you, the best thing to do is, obviously get the first hit in and get away. But if they do come in, you're going to do it by setting up. It's just like a good boxer puts together combinations to get to you. We do the same thing with the machete. So Willie's going to come in. I'm going to go really slow with this so you get it. And just bear with me, and it'll help you. The first thing we're going to do is we're just going to meet the force. So he's going to hit my arm. So he meets the force, meets the force, meets the force, meets the force, and meets the force. So now I'm going to have Willie follow the force. Now I know we've already referenced this, but it's really important. Let's cover it again. So now, when I deliver the 1, he's going to backhand it. You see it? So one more time. So he's not meeting the force. It's not going to clash. It is going to carry it past. So when he goes, he pulls it past, pulls it past, pull it past, pull it past, pull it past. So this is follow the force. So when he comes at me, I move it past, I move it past, move it past, move it past, move it past. One of the best ways to do it is if my angle's high, he comes in from underneath it. If it's low, he comes on top. The same thing here. If I go low, he comes on top. Now he will lift it past, and then he will just move offline and guide my sword past him. All right, so now, in order to show you this, I want you to think of this way. You have a strike that goes through. In the Filipino martial arts, we call it loptic. If it retracts, it's called a watik. Okay? Then they make a circle or an elliptic motion, and they'll say redondo. You don't have to know the terminology, but I like to say it. You know, some people are into it, so you do what you want with that information. So again, we will make the circle, and I will cut through. I make the circle, I cut through. Circle, cut through, circle, cut through. That's the first drill that I want you to do. So it's not too hard. We make a circle, I slash. I make a circle, I slash. Make a circle, I slash. Make a circle, I slash. Pretty simple. Now I'm going to add the watik into it. I want you to do the watik. You circle, slash. The watik, circle, slash. Remember, the watik is the retraction. Then we do the full orbit or the elliptic motion, and then the full-on swing through the opponent. I can pull back, full circle, slash. Hit, full circle, slash. Hit, full circle, slash. So I just want you to train that. And you'll see with the machete, it gets really fast. This blade that I'm using here is probably even heavier than the machete blade. The machete gets so quick. Okay? All right, so now we're going to take that. I don't have to stay in that exact pattern, but with that concept, what we're going to do is when he swings, I'm going to meet the force first. 1. All right, so right now, since we have soft blades, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to touch his forearm. So just Willie is feeding me what we call primero, the perfect strike. So I just hit the forearm. Obviously, most people won't give the whole arm. Some might, but a lot of people will just give the blade. And if it's just the blade, just give me the blade, then I'll clash with the blade. Hopefully, I can get some knuckle with it. Okay, but if not, then it's just on the blade. But for now, since he's training, right now, if he's feeding me, he's my teacher. When I feed him, I'm his teacher. So when he goes, he gives me the arm. Then I will just swing. So I cut, 1, 2, 3, right here. I meet, and so now it's Willie's turn. I become the teacher. So he goes through. That's it. This is what we call meet the force. Let's slow it down. So I hit it. Circle, slash, slash. So I make the strike. I can watik, circle, slash, slash also. Remember, I said that with tick or the retraction could be in there. So when we go here, then I hit. Now it's Willie's turn. He takes the limb. See, everything after that should be gravy. It should be just him going in for the finish. He goes here, this could be all on me. For training, if you're using the real blade, meaning your real training blade, not a real sword, you just touch, okay? For soft, you could go on each other a little bit. You'll survive it. All right, so now the next part goes, we follow the force. So I might hit it past. They call this motion sunkete or sunket. So I go like that. Really what I want to do is I want to put it on his arm and try to hook thrust the face. So when he goes here, I go, pack, that should go in the face. Obviously, training, we don't do that. I just hit it past. So now if you look, I am going on the same side as Willie. So if you look, his backhand will meet my forehand. My backhand will be countered by his forehand. So when we go, that's it. Okay, so real slow. When we go, I move it past. Then I take him, I move it past. So then Willie goes, slow it down. So everything you can see right now is either going to be the watik or the redondo. So when we go, that's it. So slowly, we'll each do it one more time for you. Meet the force. So I meet the force. I meet. Meet. He meets the force. He's doing it with a combination attack. If I wasn't injured, if he got the blade and I go to come in, that's his counter. Okay? So when we go here. Okay, so then we follow the force. I hit 1, 2, 3, pass, pass, and then Willie goes. Okay, so we'll just flow it a little. So, go. So now I'm combining. I can meet the force. I'm still meeting it. There, I passed the force. Okay, so Willie goes. So he just free flows. He can do whatever he wants. You notice I'm staying stationary. Later we'll put a lot more footwork into this. And that's it. So that's either meeting the force or following the force with a combination attack. We're going to work on creating some openings for you. So the section we're going to go into is called top hat, flat hat, or diagonal hat. So it's pretty simple. When I'm with my opponent and we're facing off, I'll force him into trying to follow the X with me or keeping up with me. So I'll go like that, and I'll just hit the 1 and the 2. So a lot of times he'll meet it. He doesn't know where I'm going to go, so he'll start to meet me on that 1 and that 2. As soon as I build that confidence in him that that's my favorite pattern, that's where I'm going, I change the angle. So what I do is, instead of returning the backhand 45-degree down, which a lot of people call the angle 2, what I do is I go here, and then I just drop straight down. So when we go at speed, I'll get him, just go with me at speed. 1, 2, 1, 2, and I just cut down that angle. I make him believe that this is coming, but really this is coming straight down. That's what we call the top hat. So we hit the 45 to the straight angle down. Okay, the flat hat, pretty much the same thing. 1, 2, 1, 2, so 1, 2. Then I just cut the line straight. I go 1, and I just hit down that horizontal plane. Okay, so 1, hit down the horizontal plane. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, horizontal. Okay, and then obviously the diagonal hat, we could take it 2 ways. 1, 2, 1, 2. I can hit it here by cutting in, going a little deeper. Like a lot of times I jump in and I try to take that elbow. Or they'll go and they'll watik it. So I go pack and then I cut down, or I chase the blow. So I just make sure that I'm away. If he's thinking my hand, try to hit my hand. There, try to hit my hand. Good. So I'll just move in with it. So pat, and then I'll chase it. So real slow. When it comes, I take the angle and I chase it, and I try to slash the arm. So again, to recap, we had the 1, drop, 1, 2, flat. Then on the diagonal, I can go here and then take the elbow, or I can go 1 and with ticket, and then chase the arm. So that's what we call the flat hat, top hat, or diagonal hat series. Okay, let's go on a little further with this now. Now we're going to go into what we call kawayan. In Tagalog, or in the Filipino language, kawayan means split the bamboo. I know it sounds like a weird name, but I want you to think of this. If you were going through a bunch of vegetation and you had to cut your way through it, would you cut it on a horizontal angle? Probably not, because you still got to drudge through the whole thing. So they developed a pattern that they used to work, and it makes everything in almost like a V-shaped cut, which was easy to kind of walk through. It gave you a little more knee room, okay? And they got good at it, and they used to fight with the same pattern. You think about it, if they're cutting all day with this pattern, you get pretty proficient at swinging that, and it gets pretty fast. So the kawayan starts here. They'll start it in a backhand position. You're going to swing back around. What we'll say is back to like the angle 1 that Lynn had taught you. Goes back around to the angle 1. Okay, let me start that again. 1. Then you're going to cut down, cut up, and then back around to the angle 1. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4. And we would just do this for training. So in our school, we would teach people, we would just walk this path up and down the floor. Everybody kawayan. And then we all just start going right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Start the pattern again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you look at that direction, if I were cutting through vegetation, I'm cutting it in a V shape, a V shape, and a V shape. So I'm pretty much trying to cut this to where I'd be able to walk through the middle of it. And after a while, they got very proficient with this. So why not fight with it in this angle? So if the angle came in, let me bring Joe in again. All right, so what they would do is if he swings, they might knock it out of the way. Then they would just go into the kawayan. See, if he goes here, they might hit, and they go into the kawayan. Here, back into the kawayan. That's the kawayan. So right here, the cut pattern would be is if he goes, maybe I did come in here, they would swing around, down, up, and around. Then if I came in here, 1, 2, 3, 4. I might drop it, go around, 2, 3, 4. I might move it past. And if it comes in, that's the kawayan. Now another variation of the kawayan would be 1, 2, 3, and they just hit the Wittick backhand. Remember what I said, the Wittick is a retracting motion. So if I bring Joe back in, when we did this, if he goes here, I might hit him, go into the kawayan, 2, 3, and I check it. Now the reason they might check it is maybe I'm fearful that he might come back at me. So if I go 1, 2, 3, and if I felt him come back, they would just hit that to just impede the progress of his bullet, and they'd run out, back out. Okay, so we'll do that now. So I might go in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then if he goes, and I check it. So now the first level is he does nothing. So you see it, after he feeds the angle, he just lets me complete my pattern. Okay, the second level would be when he goes, start again. So as soon as he goes and then I go into my kawayan, he would just flinch. And then I just throw that backhand. So what I would do is I would go 1, 2, 3, and I'd see him flinch and I just hit the backhand. Obviously, we're using metal, I don't want to put it on him. But when he goes, start at 1, here, 1, 2, 3, and then I just hit that backhand. Now he goes, and then I put it back on him. So all it is just reaction training for me, and then I'll just go with it. And then right there. So the kawayan, the 2 kawayans that we'll use is 1, 2, 3, back around to the angle 1, or we'll start out here. I go 1, 2, 3, and then just a horizontal Wittick. Try those out.
Next, let's talk about strategy. When you're fighting with a machete, there's a number of different strategies that you can use. One of the first ones I want to make you aware of that we think about all the time here is unorthodox or wild man attacks. When I'm training against unarmed attacks, I spend a good part of my time training against wild man and unorthodox attacks. Not everybody attacks you with a beautiful jab, cross, hook combination. Those punches come from every angle with all kinds of broken rhythm. People hit you when they're off balance. They come at all kinds of weird angles. You don't always get clean, delineated blows like you get in a boxing ring. In a street fight, they come like from everywhere. It's a fur fight, okay? It can be that way with machete. Sometimes you'll face an attacker who's so enraged or is filled with drugs or is insane, and he has no concern whatsoever about his person. All he wants to do is to hurt you. He may come at you with just venom and hate in his heart. I hate your guts. Swinging with abandon, trying to swing as hard as he can to cut you in half. That's all he cares about. And you need to steel your spirit against that forward pressure and that deep-seated aggression, okay? It's hard for good people to push back against that, but that's part of your training as a fighter, is to be able to hold your mud, keep the center line, don't turn in the face of that aggression. Keep the center line with your machete. Keep the center line. That's really important in help controlling this type of attack because it allows you to defend and attack instantly. Now, what I suggest you do when you face this wild man type attack is I want you to give ground. I'm going to have Robert come in here. You don't have to usually instantly defend. Yes, if all of a sudden I'm standing right next to him, he comes from nowhere and puts that machete up, I'm going to cover. I'm going to low roof, I'm going to attack that arm, and I'm going to go to work. Okay, I have no other choice. I don't want to be struck. But if he's coming at me from a distance and I can see it, I'm going to give ground, and I'm going to pick the stroke that I see coming and respond into it. There, I move backwards, follow the blow, and cut his arm. What I want you to do when you're giving ground, hold your mud. Watch what he's doing. Okay, now he's giving me a repeating pattern. Downward number 1 strokes. This is a very common stroke in America and around the world. Most people don't have the skill to cut very effectively backhanded unless they've done a lot of training. In the early 1800s, our fledgling Navy did a study and found out most seamen with a cutlass couldn't do anything but cut a forehand diagonal blow at the head or neck. The use of the point was almost unknown to them. They had no skill at using the point, and they had almost no skill in backhand blows. Quite often, you'll get a repeating downward number 1 cut. It'll come like this, and it'll repeat, okay? So be ready to stand underneath that. Another one, they'll cut straight down like this. He'll cut straight down to number 12. Get ready to roof block and get out from underneath that thing. You can either get back and go back on the male triangle, or you can go forward on the female triangle. Bang! Okay, you can enter in it. The key is how well you can read that attack. Move when you're sure you're reading the attack correctly. That'll give you the best chance to take him out when you have that unorthodox fighter. Study his motion a little bit. Back up a little bit, Robert. Okay, he can come with blows from every angle. Again, he comes in wild man, and he's cutting at me, and I'm going to pick up a couple that I can recognize. Come back again. He comes in cutting at me. When you see that 12 coming straight down, he's attacking with that 12, you're going to give ground. That's what he's doing. I'm going to roof, and I'm going to hit him, okay? So pick your shot. Stay here. See what he's going to do. Okay. Move on that female triangle. Get out to the side. Don't stand directly in front of him as you defend. Put in your counter. Now, with the wild man attack, it's even harder because he may be going all over the map with that thing because he doesn't care about his own defense. If a skilled fighter won't attack with abandon, he wants to go home at the end of the day. A person that's enraged or full of drugs may not care. All he wants to do is hurt you, okay? So you need to give ground, okay? Give ground. Pull them out in a circle, and when you can see, counter slash into it, okay? Don't stand under the full onslaught of a wild man attack. Give ground. Give ground. Pull him out in a circle. Pull him out in a circle. Don't stand in front of him. Make him turn from that wild man attack. He's coming here. Make him turn. Now, when you can read that attack is when you counter. Okay? As he turns, he thinks it's all his own way. As you make him turn, he starts to expose himself, and you have a really good chance to finish the fight right there. So give ground. Keep that machete in front of you. Give ground. And as he continues his attack, go out to the side. Cut into it. Okay? That's how you deal with unorthodox and wild man attacks in your strategy. All right, I want to continue on with some of the pillars in our strategy in fighting with a machete. One of them is, don't get cut on your machete hand. I alluded this to earlier, how the Spanish say, an effete or ineffectual man has no right arm because he was so stupid that he got it cut off by an enemy's sword. Okay? Don't have your machete hand cut. Use those evasive patterns. Use those evasive hand motions to avoid being cut. Don't let your enemy cut your hand. Keep that thing in motion. Make him miss. 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 Make that pattern work. Make that pattern work. Make that pattern work. Make that pattern work for you. Okay? Keep that machete hand in working. Okay? Don't let him get that hand. 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 Evade. Don't let him cut your machete hand. That's one of our main pillars in our strategy. Another thing that we always try to do in our strategy is to fight at long range. The machete has an 18-inch up to 24, even a 28-inch blade. There's no need to go to close range unless you can read the blow coming and you want to jump in, cover that line of attack, and take him out. Okay? That's a viable reason for doing that. But outside of that, you want to pick off his weapon hand first before you close the distance. That's the safest thing to do, and the one that will probably have the best chance of leaving you unscathed in the fight. So I'm going to have Robert come in here. What I want you to do when you're facing somebody with a machete is your main target is this hand. So you want to move. Before you enter, you want to move on him and target that hand. If I can cut that hand on his thumb like that, he's not holding that machete. If I move around and I hook him with my point there, he's not holding that machete. Now, if I'm moving around and he cuts number one, I can take that chance right there to finish him, okay? If he backhands and I don't move around, I may come here and finish him if I can see that line. If I move around and I see a big number one, I can do that and pick it up. Let's try that again. I'm moving around and I meet that one. Bang! I can pick it up. Now, these little foam trainers bend all over the place. It'll happen to you too. The main thing is step on the angle, get here, and finish the fight. That's the exception. If you can, though, it's safer to stay out here and pick off his hand. Move around on him. I'm not going to stand on him. Run on him. See that? If he doesn't stay up with you, you're going to take him, okay? That's how you stay at long range. Stay at long range. Bait him, feint him, get him to cut at your hand, evade, countercut him. Stay alive. Don't endanger your torso by moving too close unless you have a golden opportunity. That's one of our pillars of strategy. Okay, so let's keep looking at strategy. One of our big things in our strategy of fighting with machete is to make your opponent move. You've seen me throughout this presentation talk about making your opponent move, and I want to emphasize that once more right now. Look, a fight with a knife or a machete is a very short-lived event. It's measured in seconds, certainly never in minutes. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. A 15-second machete fight is an eternity. It doesn't last that long. But it's a very high-intensity, quick movement fight. And if you're moving at light speed all around your opponent, and he hasn't trained for years and years and years to keep up with you and to be used to that kind of motion, you're going to tear him apart. I'm going to have Robert come out here, and I'm just going to show how you're going to move your opponent. Now, I'm going to go slow enough so I can talk, but you can imagine that if this was a real fight, you can add another 50% to this speed. What I want you to do when you pull that machete out is the first thing I know is I want to know that him to know I'm going to cut him and kill him, okay? I'm going to make him afraid. I'm not going to show any fear. So at long range here, I'm outside of range, I'm going to press into him. Then I'm going to give ground. I'm going to move on him, but I'm going to exude my personality. I'm going to push into him with my spirit all the time. I'm going to move on him, and I'm going to see that opening. If I see that opening, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to make him feel threatened. I'm going to move on him. I'm going to run on him and run on him and run on him, okay? And I'm going to go, 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 okay? I'm going to put pressure, and I'm going to give ground. Oh, you think that's it? Oh, and I might beat his blade. Okay? Then, and I come in there, and I take him out, okay? That's how you move on your enemy when you fight with a machete. I've talked about this earlier. I constantly have referred to stepping forward or backwards on the male and female triangle. That's a real part of our fight game with the machete. It's a real pillar of strategy. Whenever you can, I want you to defend on the female or male triangle. I'm going to have Robert come in here. You can't always pull it off, but when you're moving around and you see this, we're just going to go slow, and when I see that attack come in, I'm going to move forward on that female triangle. I don't want to just stay here and receive it here. If I can see that coming at all, I want to get here and follow up, okay? If I get this cut off and I can step forward here, and I'm going to keep moving around and away from his blade, all right? I'm not going to stay underneath his blade. What I want you to do when you're moving with that machete, constantly try to force yourself to move. Don't receive his cut standing still. Don't receive his stab standing still. Move offline. Move into it. Move away from it. Don't receive it in a static posture. Move on the female or male triangle. Now, the other thing I want you to do is I want you to get used to changing your stance and posture. Sometimes I'll fight in our basic on-guard stance. Sometimes I'll come back here and I'll threaten him from here. What I want him to do is to not be certain of my range. I'll come down here and thrust, okay? I want to change my posture so he doesn't know what to expect. I want to change my stance. Sometimes I'll be strong side forward. Maybe I'll change the strong side back. I'll move strong side back and say, what's he saying? What's he doing? Then I'll switch. Then I'll switch again. He doesn't know what I'm going to do. All right? I'll come here. Sometimes I'll do this to draw him or bait him. I'll switch here. I want him to cut here. And I'll immediately counterattack. Change your stance. Change your posture. I've taught you some different postures. I've taught you some different stances. Start out with your training partner. Move around. Here I'm in strong side forward. Here I'm on my overhead posture here. Now maybe I'll come into this extended posture. I'll move back. Maybe I'll go strong side forward. I'll try to cut him here. I'll look. I'll give this the angle to go to. I'll constantly do that. I'll be ready to defend that. Pick that off. Like that. Bake him. He doesn't know what to do, okay? Change your posture. Change your stance. It's great to have in your bag of tricks. Now I want to emphasize the importance of changing your range when you fight with a machete. I'm going to call Robert out here. This is what I see a lot in fighting, and I don't agree with it. People say there is a reason to do it because it keeps you just outside of his ability to strike you and gives you a good chance to counter too, but I don't agree with it entirely because it's too familiar. They know where you're at all the time. I don't want my enemy to know where I'm going to be for the next split second. I'm going to be all over him, just bouncing all over, all around him. I want to change my range. It's a big part of our strategy. So right now, Robert really can't reach me without taking a step, okay? I want to push into him, and I want to pull back and give him a void. I want to move on him. I want to threaten him with my machete, then I want to withdraw it. I can threaten him with my machete and move right in behind it like this and change my range, my distance from him. Or I can leave my machete here and step back and then retract it. So I hold my position with my machete here, and I reach back, and I'm still holding it, and I can get out of range. There's lots of different ways that you can confuse your opponent with your distance. Sometimes I'll put my machete out. Sometimes I'll leave it out here. Sometimes I'll fold it back here. I'll take up distance as I move him. As I go to his left, watch. As I corkscrew in, I'm going to take distance, and I'm going to slap his hand and knock that out. The same way here. I can circle here. I'm not just going to keep the same distance. I'm going to corkscrew in. As I come around here, I'm constantly looking just to get to that moment in time when I can reach him with 3 inches of the tip of my machete. I'm constantly changing my range. I don't want to stand here. I want to come out. I want to circle. I want to come in and threaten, pull back. I want to drive this side in, pull this side back, drive it back in again. I want to push in with my machete here, pull back, push in, pull back, push in, okay? You want to constantly keep him confused as to what you're going to do. What's your real range? If you stay here, he follows you around, and he has a fix on your range. If you pull back here, he says, crap, now I have to chase him. When he chases you, you put a little forward pressure into him. When someone's chasing you, they feel confident, don't they? Okay? When someone's coming forward, he thinks it's all on him now. And now, go on high alert. When you press in, expand your peripheral vision. Expand your spirit, okay? When I give ground and I press in, I've got to be on high alert for him to cut into me, okay? But I can take him when he thinks it's all about attack. I can attack into his attack. Make him move. Change your distance all the time. Keep him confused at what your range is. That's a big part of our strategy. Now I want to talk a little bit more about the tempo of the fight. As I said earlier, a machete fight or a knife fight is a very short-lived event. In that, you're going to be going all out. If you're a good fighter, if it's a 15-second fight, you should have no energy left at the end of that 15 seconds. When that 15 seconds is over, your opponent's finished, or you've left, you've cut him, you found a way to escape, you're gone, or he's done. It's not a 2 or 3 minute event. It's not a boxing round. It's not a UFC 5-minute round. It's just measured in seconds, okay? So what you want to do is you want to change that tempo of that frantic 15 seconds. You want to be changing your rhythm and your tempo constantly. I'm going to have Robert come in here, and I'm going to go about half speed so I can talk. What I want to do, as I said, the first time he pulls that machete blade up, I want to convince him with my eyes and my spirit that I'm here to cut him and kill him and leave him in the dirt. I'm going to make him bleed and suffer. That's the forward pressure and the pushing into him with your spirit you have to survive. We're talking about our strategy now, and I'm sharing it with you. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to push into him. Now I'm going to move. I'm going to push into him. Now I'm going to move. I'm going to move to the side. He doesn't know what kind of aggression he's going to get or when it's going to come. I may look a little passive, push into him, and I'll move into him again. Okay? You can appear passive and a little hesitant, and let him come in and push into him, okay? With good aggression. Vary the tempo of the fight. Now, when you're starting with your training partner, you're not going to push that hard to begin with. You're going to come here kindly and gently. You're going to move forward. Make him move back. Give ground. Circle. Circle fast. Change the tempo. Rest. And you're going to lead him around. And you're going to lead him around. Now run on him. Take him. Now move in. When you move in, you got to go on high alert. When I come in here and he cuts at me, I've got to look and pick that up. Get that off. You've got to move in here and be ready. Take him out. See that? Change the tempo on him. When I felt him start to load on me, I want to push in a little bit with my spirit, all right? Change the tempo and the fight. You'll be glad you did. At the beginning of this presentation, I talked to you about this is primarily a long-range method of fighting with the machete. Our main strategy throughout this DVD is to counter slash our opponent's weapon hand and get it on the ground before we enter. If I can cut his weapon out of his hand, I'm in a relative position of safety. I can safely retreat, or I can move in and take him out if that's what the situation calls for. All right? But if you can read an attack, if you can see it coming, sometimes you can jump into close range and bring the fight to fruition very, very quickly. You can get closure in that fight very quickly if you can see an attack coming. Okay, I'm going to have Robert come out here, and we're going to move around, and I'm going to try to show you how you can jump in and move that attack at close range. I want to look for an attack. I want to move him a little bit. I want to get a big response from him that I can read. Right here. And throw him to the ground, keep finishing him. Notice, when I started hitting him, I didn't stop. Don't admire your work. If you can get in here like this, and get that, and throw him down. Big guy like that doesn't go to ground easy. Get him on the ground, take him out. That's our strategy at fighting at close range. Avoid it, primarily. If you see a good spot, jump in, attack with ferocity and forward pressure. Now I want to spend some time teaching you how to use your machete in disparity of force situations and also how to oppose different types of weapons other than another machete. I've touched on this earlier. I've done a little bit of teaching on disparity of force. I want to expand on it a little bit right now. Disparity of force, you don't get to use your machete to hit people with that aren't armed unless there's certain extenuating circumstances. One is they must be much larger, stronger, heavier, younger, and fitter than you are, or there need to be multiple opponents. You don't get to cut people with your machete because they insulted you or they punched you on the nose. But if you're 5'8" and you weigh 170 pounds and someone's 6'4", 260, punches you repeatedly, gives you a couple good punches in the face, and you're in the danger of being knocked out, you can take 2 steps, pick up a machete, and slash his next incoming arm, and you have a really good argument that was a disparity of force situation. You tried to defend yourself, you weren't being successful, and you were in danger of being seriously injured. You don't need to be beat to death before you cut somebody with a machete. On the other hand, you don't want to be a hothead and injure somebody over an insult or a slight provocation. You have to be in fear of grievous bodily harm or fear of losing your life before you take the possibility of putting lethal force into that equation. Now, you can, because I've taught this force continuum, you have other options with your machete. I'm going to call Robert out here. Let's say I'm working in my garage, and the door's up, I'm minding my own business, and some nut comes in off the street, and he looks in my garage, and today's the day he decides he wants to beat the crap out of somebody. He walks into the garage and he says, "Hey, mofo, I'm going to beat the crap out of you." I go, "Boy, he's big." I take 2 steps over, I pick up my machete, and I said, "Not today, mister." Now, he puts up his hands. When he puts up his hands, the first thing I'm going to do is beat that arm, like I said earlier. When somebody's hands are up, bang, beat that hand, beat that other hand. I'm going to break that hand right there. Now, if that doesn't work and he still comes forward at me, I may use the edge here. Because when you slap somebody in the hand and break their hand and they still enter, hey, you're in a world of hurt, dude. Now, the other thing I want you to remember is that you can use your machete defensively. If somebody punches at you, you can pick it up here. If he punches in combination, you can pick it up there. I don't care what he does. I can pick it up. You be hungry to hit him, okay? I can cut his hands. If he punches from this side, I can pick it up. I don't care what he does. You know, when he punches here, I can cut him, okay? There's lots of things you can do with that machete. Your confidence level, when you pick that machete up, should go through the roof, okay? Somebody reaches to grab you. When you got that machete, you can slap him on the side of the head. You're probably not going to kill him. You're going to ring his bell. He's going to drop his assault and go the other way. So be smart when you're facing an unarmed opponent. Make sure that you're in the right, that it's a true disparity of force situation. Okay, let's deal with some common street weapons now. The first category I wanted to start with is short weapons. Then we're going to go into shorter, heavier weapons. A short weapon you're commonly going to face is the knife. I'm going to have Robert come in here. I want to talk briefly about the two dangers of the knife. The edge of the knife is very dangerous, but the point is what kills you. The edge hurts and wounds and maims, but it's the point that's so deadly. So when you're fighting somebody armed with a knife, remember, the worst thing that can happen to you is to get stabbed by it, not cut. Getting cut is bad. Hear me well. That's not a good thing. But getting stabbed by it is really bad, and you want to avoid that. So you want to make sure that you have your live hand here helping cover this side of your body and ready to be employed at a moment's notice to parry and block and to slap and to hit and to act defensively like I taught you earlier, all right? So this one, this alive hand, you want to be especially ready to use that in the fight. Now, the other thing that you have that's really going for you big time is this blade I know real well is a 7-inch blade. I've got an 18-inch machete in my hand. I've got 11 inches of reach on him, okay? I'm going to use that reach and make it really hard for him. So when Robert comes up and threatens me with that knife, I'm going to move on him and I'm going to cut that hand. And when I cut that hand, I'm going to never stop cutting that hand. As soon as he puts that knife up, it's coming like lightning. I'm going to force him to give ground right away. I'm going to flurry an attack on that knife hand. This is a common strategy that we're going to use against all shorter weapons. Any weapon that's a lot shorter than ours, we're going to attack that weapon hand nonstop. Make him back up. If I can get him to back up, I can leave. Okay? What did I tell you before? Our job is to escape unscathed, not to finish people. Okay? If you can drive off that knife man and get away unscathed, that's the highest and best thing. That's your best course. That's your best path. Take it, okay? You're not here to kill that guy. You want to drive that person off with that knife. So you're going to cut nonstop at that hand, all right? Sometimes, if you cut and he pulls back, slap it. Come right across here. Change your angle. He's seen this a couple times. Come in here and slap back and forth, okay? Change his angle. He pulls back. If he pulls back, come to his head too. You can take him in the head too. If he sucks that knife all the way back, take his head. He wasn't giving me, he didn't want to give me his knife to slap it. He kept pulling it back. Hey, I got the reach on him. Come right up to his head. All right? But your main strategy when you see that knife here and you've got your machete is non-stop aggression on that knife hand. Okay? Don't overcommit in your strokes. Don't cut too hard. Don't miss. Don't cut so hard that he can jump in and stab you. All right? I want short, deft, light, continuous cutting attacks. Don't stop cutting that knife hand. From the right hand to the left hand, straight down, slap, slap, cut, cut. Constantly beat and abuse that knife hand till where he goes, ah, ah. When he starts moving away to get away from that furious onslaught, you can beat feet out of here. That's how you deal with the knife. Okay, now that we've dealt with the knife, let's talk about some other short, heavy weapons that you're commonly going to encounter. These are things that people are going to drag out of their toolbox, out of their seat, underneath the seat of their car, out of their trunk, and they're going to hit you with them. These are very common street weapons. One of them is an engineer's hammer. I'm going to have Robert come in there. One of my big fight games is to instantly analyze the characteristics of the weapon you're going to face. What are you facing? Okay, an engineer's hammer may weigh anywhere from 2 to 4 pounds, okay? It's got a heavy head. Quite often it has a wood or fiberglass handle. In Africa, they're very commonly got a steel pipe to replace the handle. So you'll have the heavy head and a steel pipe that's welded on because the handle's been broken off already a few times. So it's very hard to cut through the shaft of this hammer with your machete. He's got a very heavy head. He also has something that can hook with. If I swing in here and he grabs that and pulls down, he can hook my machete. So you have to always be aware of any weapon that has a right angle protuberance to the shaft. Anything that sticks out at right angles to the shaft, hold it like this. Anything that steps out like this or from the side, this protuberance that sticks out, the hammerhead on either side can be used to hook with. And you've got to be really careful of that because somebody that's really skilled will know all the characteristics of this weapon and use it against you. Now, what are the disadvantages of this thing? It's slow. Your machete weighs a pound. It's light speed. This is a Ferrari. This is a Mack truck, okay? What happens, though, when a Ferrari meets a Mack truck head-on? That Ferrari gets crumpled. You don't want him to hit or beat your machete, okay? If he hits that hard, he can just knock it right out of my hand. He could bend the blade over. He could even conceivably break the blade with a hard enough hit. But when a 4-pound or 3-pound hammer hits your machete, it may tear right out of your grip, okay? So that's one of the strategies he may want to use, is to get you, to lure you out, to put your machete out here and then hit your hammer, and your machete, and knock it right out of your hand. So you want to be real fast in your motions. Now, to counter that, you can use the heaviness and the head heaviness of his weapon against him, just like we're going to show with a tomahawk and with a shovel. Any head-heavy weapon is hard to recover. When he swings at and he misses, see how exposed he is? That's when I take him, right there, okay? Ron and I, we had lots of problems with this when we were fighting Bowie knife versus tomahawk. Listen, it's very difficult to counter a real fast weapon like a Bowie knife or a machete. If I can make him miss that stroke with his hammer at my hand, it's really easy. I can enter pretty darn easily, okay? What you have to be careful of is he takes that big swing. It's hard to stop that with the thin blade of my machete, okay? I'll have to reinforce probably that block. If he cuts again, number one, I may come in here and block, okay? But I don't want, against a short, heavy weapon, just to put my machete up like that. It may crash through. Look at, watch this thing crash through. It comes to the same line, cut the same line, and it comes right through and it hits me on the shoulder. Bang! If my arm folds back and a 3-pound hammer hits me on the point of the shoulder, he can just crush my shoulder, all right? So how do you counter that short, heavy weapon? You're going to step forward on the female triangle. You're going to use that reinforced block. I'm going to push it down. I'm going to barge him, okay? I want to destroy his balance before I take him out. My machete wasn't at the best angle right then. When I got in here like this, and I got like this, and I got in here, and I moved him, I want to barge him. Now I can go to work, okay? You've got to act according to every situation. Don't stop a heavy weapon with just one hand when you're holding your machete. Always try to reinforce it. If you've got to get it on your forearm here, get it on your forearm, and help your forearm help you pick that up. Now, you don't want him to drag that away, so you can leak yours across here. Grab that arm, like I taught you. There's your wrap stroke. There's your cut, okay? Don't let him, when you intersect, he's going to pull down and try to hook that and rip that out of the way and then control you. Don't let that happen. If you get here like this, be ready to manipulate his hand, all right? Let's try that again. He cuts, I come in here with a reinforced block, and I get a hold of that and capture that. Look at, now I've got a hold of his hammer right here. I'm going to hold it into my waist tight like this. I'm not going to drag it with my arm power. I'm going to drag him with my body weight and just rip it right out. Now, whenever you get a hold of something like this, don't sit there and pull on it like that. Then I'm not going to match strength to strength. I'm going to match him weight to weight and use my legs to help me. I'm going to drag him back and pull that out. Now I can come right back in here and go to work on him, okay? Be aware of the smashing power of a heavy weapon. Bring your machete into his range. Make him feel the threat, okay? Make him feel the threat of that, okay? And give him a bait once in a while. Put that out there. Let him go for it and cut him, okay? That's a good way to deal with a heavy weapon. Either cut it out of his hands or entice him to take a swing at it. Pull up and drop on it. That's a really good one. Pull high and drop. We showed that defense earlier. If you get a heavy weapon, he pulls up, you cut his hand right off. Bang, end of story. That's how you fight against short, heavy weapons. Okay, so far I've taught you how to deal with a knife and a short, heavy weapon. Both of these weapons we've opposed so far, the overall length has been less than your machete. Now, when you start facing weapons that are longer than your machete, you're getting behind on the curve, okay? A longer weapon is going to start taking away the speed advantage and the cutting power and all that fast, deft motion that you have with the machete that helps you defeat shorter weapons. You're going to start getting behind on the fighting curve when that weapon that you're facing is longer. I'm going to have Robert come out here. The first thing, I'm going to keep referring to this. You need to look and assess instantly what are the fighting characteristics of what you're facing. What Robert has here in his hands is a heavy crook-top cane. We modeled this after the heavy white waxwood cane that we sold for years. It's got a hook on one end. It's about 37 inches long. The overall length of my machete is only about 25 inches long. So he's got over 12 inches of reach on me, 10 to 12 inches of reach on me with that. And it can hit really hard. But it has no point like my machete, and it has no edge. Yes, he can stab me with the tip, and he can hit me in the solar plexus, he can break my ribs, he can bust my spleen, he can damage my liver, he can hit me in the groin, he can hit me in the mouth, he can hit me in the nose. But he doesn't have the penetrating power of my machete. So I have stabbing ability over him, and he doesn't have a cutting edge. So at close range, his sawing attacks and his hacking attacks and all that stuff aren't near as effective as mine, okay? He can deal heavy percussive blows. But if I block his blow with my arm, I may get a broken arm, but I probably won't have my arm cut off. If that was a heavy saber, though, or another machete, and I used a passive arm block like that, I'd be even more damaged, okay? So you may be able to use your live hand a little bit more to block with to help supplement your machete. And don't get me wrong, I don't want this hand to be damaged or broken or busted up or maimed in any way, okay? But his weapon is less likely to be able to shear your arm off than if you're facing another machete or a sword. So you have to instantly know what he's got, all right? So now I know he has a percussive weapon that's longer than mine. I know because Robert's taller than I am and it has longer arms and a longer weapon, it's going to be hard for me to lead, okay? But if I just constantly stay on the defense, he'll overrun me, all right, and use his reach. So I know right away I have to give him some threat. So when he comes after me with that, I've got to push in and get at least feign an attack at his weapon. Get ready to get out of the way. What I really want to do, though, my goal is somehow get in here and slash that. All right, so what I want to do is I want to threaten him till he commits to a blow. And when he commits, I want to get here. I roofed it, and I want to enter. I can't stay on the outside for very long. I have to run, or he's eventually going to catch me where I can't move out of it and bring that long, heavy weapon to bear. The only way I can employ my edge and point is on the inside. Sometimes you may be better to immediately rush that. When I see that long, heavy weapon, I may just want to rush in under that roof. And whatever he takes, if he fires down on me, I know he's in his right hand. I know from experience he's going to cut probably this way, or this way, or this way. When I rush, he's not going to cross and backhand me, in all likelihood, okay? Unless he's really highly trained at defeating the charge, he's probably not going to do that. So when I rush, I'm going to put my machete in the front and try to pick that up. Now, here I've got the elbow, then I've got the stroke. I used what was closest. As soon as I got here, I felt my elbow was closest. Bang! Bang! That's what I put in, okay? That's one strategy you can employ. It's dangerous, but if you have limited room to maneuver, and he has skill with that weapon, and yours is only 18 inches long, and his is 37 inches long, the reach of that weapon may tell. So sometimes it's a gamble to jump in, go to close range, or you can try to fight your way in. Or sometimes he'll put it out in front, and he'll do this. And if he does that, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to step on his foot and continue my wrap stroke. Whenever I beat like this, and as I try to enter, I usually try to step on that foot, okay? Pinning your opponent's foot is always a good idea. That's some options for dealing with that long weapon. You've got to stay at long range, okay? And look for a chance to enter. If he's swinging on you like this, you've got to wait for him. Hopefully he'll overstrike. Wait for him to overstrike. And when he does, that's your opportunity to go, okay? I'm showing this really slow so that I can talk and teach at the same time, okay? But you get the idea. Wait for an overstrike, enter. Wait for a good chance to pick up a committed blow, enter. Or gather your courage at the very first sign of that attack. As soon as he shows it, get in there and get close. Take away that advantage. In fighting, you have the advantage with a machete against a medium or long weapon. Now I want to talk to you about how to use your machete to oppose extra long weapons. We're talking about weapons that are 2 or 3 times longer than your machete. One of the most common weapons you're going to oppose anywhere in the world that people are going to drag out of their pickup trucks or their utility vehicles is going to be a shovel. When I drive to work every day, I see people in the fields working. There are shovels everywhere. They're opening up irrigation ditches with them. They're unclogging pipes. They're using them to pick up mud thrown all over the road. I mean, I constantly see people with shovels. I see them in the front bull bars of trucks all the time. I see them in the beds of pickup trucks. It's a super common weapon. It's in every garage, in every garden shed in America, okay? So a shovel is a really good improvised weapon, and that when somebody comes out, I'm going to have Robert come out, he's got a square mouth shovel here. A shovel like this weighs probably 2.5 pounds, maybe even 3 pounds, okay? It's about 5 feet long. It's got generally an ash handle, sometimes a fiberglass handle. It has an all-steel head. Smart people sharpen the shovels. The edges may be sharp. The mouth may be sharp to give it better bite when it's working, okay? So you've got a long, heavy weapon that way outreaches your machete. What are you going to do? If you can, you're flipping going to run. If someone's going to hit me with that shovel and I have a machete and I have a choice, I'm going to beat feet, okay? That's always your best option, is to avoid the altercation altogether. But if I can't, there's a few things you can think about. When you think about what does he have on that weapon, what's the most dangerous part? The dangerous part here is the head, okay? When you get past, if he comes on guard with that shovel, if I can get past the head right here and run in on him, he's got both hands holding onto the shaft, and he's going to have to step back to get the leverage to use that shovel effectively against me again. I'm going to put on my safety glasses because this thing is a long weapon, and it's easily maneuverable, and it's easy to run into and get that stuck in your eye, and that'll ruin my day. Okay, so what are we going to do against this shovel? When someone's threatening you with a shovel, fortunately, most people wind up to hit you with it. Very few people come in with a stabbing attack. So very few people come on and just stab you in the face. They don't do this, okay? I know on television, and I've related this in some of my other DVDs, there was an incident in Arizona where some landowner accosted 2 trespassers that were on his property, asked them to leave. These guys are in the early 20s and really buff, muscular, full of juice. And they said, basically, F you, old man. He was in his late 50s or early 60s. He had a square mouth shovel like that, and he went, bip, and stabbed the one guy with the biggest mouth in the mouth, knocked out a bunch of teeth and cracked his jaw, knocked him on his butt. That was the end of the altercation. The police came, and because it was on private property and they were trespassers and there was a big disparity in age, 2-on-1 and stuff, it got judged a disparity of force self-defense situation, and the landowner got off scot-free, and the other guy got a bunch of dental and medical bills, all right, for running his mouth and not leaving. That might be a good piece of advice to avoid getting hit with shovels. Stay off private property, and if the landowner asks you to leave, politely apologize and beat feet and get out of there. You shouldn't be there in the first place. Anyways, I'll get back to fighting with this shovel. The most vulnerable spot is his hand holding that shovel. That's my goal for my machete. I've got 2 goals. Get past this head and get to this hand, okay? Once I get inside the reach of that shovel head, he's pretty much mine. I've got a real fast, sharp machete. I can cleave his fingers off like they're little chunks of carrots, okay, with my machete. The bitch is to getting past that thing. So when someone is on guard facing you with a shovel, I want your hand kind of high right here. If he shoves at my face, I can do this and nothing else, right? And brace, all right? I'll get my machete in front of my face just like this and take that square mouth shovel. As that force comes in, I'll try to let it come past. If I'm smart and I can see it coming, I'll step and give that little bit of quarter turn that I taught earlier. I don't want to eat that. Hang on, just stab now. I don't want to eat that shovel in the mouth, okay? I want to move and get out of line. Better yet, I want to parry it. I want to get over here, okay? That's what I want to do. The shovel is really fast, and he can conceal his range there. So if I'm moving around him like this, I might want to slap at that shovel. When I'm moving around him, I might want to slap at it, just so he doesn't think he's the boss, okay? You want to be the boss when you're fighting. You don't want to let him know that you're afraid of this weapon. You want to show no fear. So you might want to beat at that head of that shovel and hack at the head of that shovel. Now, what you want to do is you want to see him go. You want to stay just out of range. When he goes, you want to get here. Get inside that shovel, cut his hand. All right? Now, here's where you can use your live hand, too. That shovel is not a spear, thank God. It doesn't have a super acute point. It doesn't have a razor-sharp blade. So if he shoves at that shovel and I pick this up here like this, he may break my arm. I'll run in and take him out and go to the hospital and get my arm fixed. That's always something to keep in mind, that you can use your alive hand or arm to aid you in helping getting past that point. You can move here like this. If you get a chance to move on it here, and I can get underneath that, I can just go right here and take him. Now, when you get past the point of that shovel, that's when you turn it on. From here, if you get here, you don't stop. Okay? You get the point? You cut those hands off. Now, here's the bitchin' thing about when he's holding on to a handle. It's the anvil hammer theory I taught earlier. His hands are on the anvil. My machete is the hammer. Bang! I smash those fingers against the anvil. They come off. Chop like carrots. Chop like carrots. Bang in the face in the story. Okay? You want to be really careful against that stabbing attack. What most people do, thank God, is they only know one stroke. Here, let me switch. Here's the stroke they know with the shovel. I hate your guts. Ah! That downward diagonal stroke like this. Maybe they'll come like this and come straight down. Okay? Look for that. Watch for him to load. When he loads, jump in. If you can, catch him here, way inside the reach of that machete. That shovel, okay? Don't stand here and let it come down and do this. You're right in the middle of his power curve, right in the middle of his power band. You want to get inside before it starts accelerating. Jump in here. Use that reinforced roof block right here. From here, I can circle and grab that arm. I got my headbutt. I got my smash with my machete. Okay? Get inside the power band. If he swings sideways or diagonally, get here. Even here, look at it. If he continues around, I'm so deep inside on the female triangle, I'm in a zero pressure area. Even one-handed, I'm okay. Better would be to do this. When he swings here, get in here. Even if he hits you with the handle like this, it comes around, swings here, you've got the cut here. You can ride up here, and you can just go to work. You're inside. Get inside his swing on any long weapon. You'll be glad you did if you have a machete. In this DVD presentation, we've done our best to teach you how to use the machete to defend yourself and your loved ones in dire straits. I hope that you'll use this information responsibly and that it'll always stand you in good stead.